Should I say that we're doing Succession in the first line? What do we usually do?
Don't think about it.
Down later?
Have to worry about it.
Okay.
Just whatever comes
It's in the
natural.
title, I figure, right? So it's like people fucking know.
Forget the script. Just add
you say that we're watching Succession later. We don't have to read.
Say hi, yeah. Wait, you fucking be my life.
I just had to get it out there.
The one line you pre-wrote. Say hi, Max.
I'm already throwing the
I don't like the reveal.
Okay.
Do you want to take your sunglasses off?
No,
Are
I
you
kind of like it.
Welcome back to another episode.
Are we not doing the reveals?
No,
I'm
she
sorry.
didn't like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways,
We're
this is
starting
irrelevant.
This time I'm gonna throw it off by not saying hi.
Are you gonna say hi to Luke?
I'm gonna
I
make
guess.
this way more difficult than it has to be for Luke, aren't I?
Yeah, I think
No,
Luke
no.
is. I think it's back to Luke.
It's already awful for him.
Luke's fucking
'Cause
brain
is
will
it-
be leaking
'cause-
out of his
'cause
ears
we're-
by the end of this one.
Do you want to do it again?
Sure.
Yeah,
time
I'll do a better one.
And
so I
this
fuck
time
up
Max
all
won't fuck it up by saying hi.
mine. Nothing wrong has happened so far.
If you want, you can have your sunglasses on and then take them off when she says your name really dramatically.
We can give that a shot.
Wear a ball cap so you're like Kendall.
Can I talk like Kendall the whole time?
Sure.
It's like fucking whatever, you know, it's just complicated airflow. Alright, let's do it one more time.
It's fine.
And go.
Welcome back for another episode of Don't Read Into It, the TV podcast where we talk about teen dramas, sitcoms, and sometimes, if we're feeling really sexy, we'll take a look at something a little more prestigious. I'm Larissa, and I'm here with my co-host Becca, and this week we're welcoming a brand new perspective with our guest, Toronto's own Max Karan.
Hello.
Are you a fan of Succession, Max?
Not really.
Not really? You fucking hate it?
Yeah, it's an awful show.
Thanks for coming on.
No, yeah, great show. I
We love to shit on shows here, so that works for us.
I get genuinely angry, I feel like, a lot of the time when we talk about shows.
Did you watch it as it was coming out, or did you kind of binge it?
It's funny, I watched like a couple episodes when the first season came out, because like my mom was watching it, and I was like,
Okay.
oh, that looks cool, and then I completely forgot about it. And then as the fourth season was coming out, I just like binged through everything to catch up.
Nice, it's a lot. I feel like it
That's my
does.
exact same story.
Yeah.
I did.
I think it does take a couple episodes to like get into it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
To, like,
it's a
catch
slow
on.
burn.
Yeah.
And it's like it has a weird sort of appeal, which I don't think is really obvious for a lot of people. Also, you haven't really done that
I'm
at
just
all.
joking. I was just joking.
Have you?
No, I've seen 7 episodes.
Yeah. So
I think you're really qualified
Yeah.
to speak on the show then.
I'm like the Larissa of this episode.
Well, that's why we
haven't
brought
really
you in,
seen
Max. We
Yeah,
figured
you need an expert.
Becca's missing some information. She's missing some input. So between the two of us, I think we can give her a good outlay to this type of TV show. That
Yeah.
Convince you to actually watch it.
You can convince me that it's better than I think
Spoil
it is based
it.
on the first 7 episodes.
Did you end up watching the last few episodes, or
No.
the work ethic is.
this
You know,
is
it's a perfect
shoddy
segue.
operation here?
Yeah. We work hard.
Speaking of lack of work ethic. Okay. Sorry, I'm too excited.
Aww.
It's a good show.
I'm gonna ruin your good mood.
It's good to be excited about.
Well, we're really excited because Succession is my favorite television show, at least right now. It premiered on HBO June 2018, created by Jesse Armstrong. The show revolves around the wealthy Roy family, who control a global media conglomerate called Waystar Royco. The series explores the power struggles, backstabbing, and family dynamics within the Roy family as they vie for control over the company.
Wow, I learned a lot more about that show listening to you describe it than I did watching the
I was just
7
about
episodes.
to say, like, how long until you figured out, like, what the fuck Waystar was, or, like, what Roy,
I
like,
didn't-
what was, like, they were talking about.
Actually, I'm curious. Based on the first 7 episodes, what was your read on the show? Like, what was it going to be about?
It's a family drama, but like also a workplace drama.
Okay, interesting.
Like to me, it was like a show about 3 siblings, even though there's 4 of them, but it's mostly
There's
about
only
3
3
siblings who like all for some reason or another want to take over this company or want to like oust their dad,
yeah, yeah.
and their dad's just kind of an asshole, and that's the vibe.
Pretty good read.
And I didn't know
pretty much it.
what the company was called. I was just calling it the company.
Yeah, that's
It's not important, really.
Yeah.
because there's like there's Waystar, there's like ATN, there's like Work, and then there's like also PGN, and there's like Pierce, and there's like it took so long. You kind of just have to like they're just filler words, and you just kind of have to figure out like
like
this person's upset about this, so it's probably not like going well. So it's probably this company. It's probably or whatever.
Yeah. I find like what the company does itself isn't that important to the plot of the show. Well, and later in the series it does.
Like, well, you know, they control the news.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what's important. I think ATN controls the news, and then Waystar is like the
I did know that they controlled the news because they mentioned that when he was trying to make his dad look bad.
It's not super relevant in the early seasons.
I'm pretty sure it's like the show's loosely based on like the Murdoch family. Do you guys know the Murdoch family?
Like,
I know they.
It's like not quite.
I know them.
Oh, something different.
I know them only like in relevance to how they've been talked about, comparing them to the show.
They're essentially a massive media conglomerate that's run by this one mega wealthy family as well.
Is it Fox News?
I don't actually know which.
I know it's like right wing. I think we're Canadian.
I think they own like a bunch of outlets. I don't know the specifics of it.
When we're like, we live in Toronto, we live in Kingston, do you think they've gathered that?
I just want to make sure people aren't like, you don't know Fox News. Who runs Fox News?
Someone with deep pockets runs it somewhere.
I realized I wrote down, I felt like this show, I assumed, was inspired by shows like Mad Men that are like really like aggressive, like workplace. Like,
see, I thought it was funny you said that because I never really considered like a workplace drama.
I agree, yeah. I don't think it really is.
I guess, kind of.
Well,
like, they work together.
The first few episodes that I've watched, it's just because it revolves around all of them being so invested in this company. They're constantly like at work and like doing like work stuff, and it seems like their lives revolve around their job, which is just to make a lot of money.
It's a different, it's like a different kind of, because it's not like, I guess like they're not like confined, it's not like the same group of people are confined to like an office that they work in every episode kind of thing, but it still like has that like corporate politics.
That's interesting, because that's not the read I get from the show at all. Like, they spend a lot of time at the company, but I never really see any, at least of the Royce siblings, ever doing any actual work.
They're supervisors, Max?
Talk to people.
Okay.
They just tell people what to do.
I think that is their job.
But I think... Okay,
Like, when I watch it, I'm like, like, this is basically, like, shedding a light on, like, the fuck all that, like, people in these positions do. They just yell at people to do other stuff.
Like,
so it's like work, but, like, it's not work. Yeah. It's, like, a popularity contest or, like, I need, like, attention from this person right now. Or I have this, like...
A dick swinging contest between them, essentially.
Yeah, it's a very bro.
I was gonna say too, like my next comment, I'm talking about like the genre a little bit. It's like, it seems like, especially now seeing it as like a whole, it's like a type of show, it's a type of story that they're telling where it doesn't need to it transcends kind of like the world that it takes place in. Like, I was thinking of like House of the Dragon is kind of the same thing, or like a lot of Shakespeare, like King Lear is the same thing, and it doesn't need to be about a company, it doesn't need to be about, obviously that adds to the social commentary, but I feel like it's about the relationships and like the
it's like an extra layer.
And like and they could be in space, they could be like wherever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because ultimately it's just a story about three kids fighting for their father's approval and love.
Oh, I was gonna say it feels like that like B-plot story in Stardust where all the sons are trying to kill each other so they can be the king, and like they killed their father and now they're trying to murder each other to be on top, is what this story feels like to me.
I mean, sometimes I think they do lash out their father, but I think ultimately the reason they want to run the company is because they want him to approve of them, right? And like feel like he's finally proud of them.
I think we can talk about it a little bit.
He's never gonna.
Let's tell Max how you typically. So this sounds so catty. Shut the fuck up, and we're gonna.
You should have.
I forgot we didn't like outline it.
Oh yeah.
You guys just threw me off the deep end. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Sorry. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about like the genre and like the significance of the show and like our relationship with the show. Beyond that, so what we usually do, we'll probably go into.
Sorry, go ahead.
What we do is we'll go into talking about different tropes in the show. Mm-hmm. We jump around a lot, but our general structure is we talk about some tropes and then we move into the characters and the relationships like in the show and stuff. And then after that, which is, I would say 90% of what the podcast ends up being, we talk about the finale, whatever it is.
Oh, the finale. Okay, that'll be fun.
And then we do some hot takes. If we have any hot takes left over.
Okay.
So many times of hiding.
I'm going to totally ruin the structure of this.
It's like fine.
It's fine.
I just wanted to make sure you knew in case
I like it,
you were like, mismanaging where you were going to drop your different points.
I'm just going to drop little tidbits here and there, and like sometimes
I guess we for Larissa and I ruined the format of this show.
Oh, we constantly
every episode we randomly will jump from like a trope to like deep diving on one character, and then be like, oh, we should probably finish tropes, I guess, right?
Yeah. You need to pre-head them.
I'll just follow your guys' lead.
So I guess, yeah, okay, so we're talking about genres. I guess the last thing I wanted to say on that.
Did you have something more to say about the genre?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I also thought it was interesting, I thought about this recently, how Succession is also, like, if you look at it in certain ways, it is like a mystery story as well. Because when I was thinking about the way that, like, things are foreshadowed and the way, like, they twist and turn it, is because the mystery is the mystery of who will take over from Logan Roy. That's like, kind of from the start, and it's in the title. So it's kind of like, you have to piece together, like, the themes of the show to figure out, like, what will be the conclusion, like, where these characters are ultimately going to fall. Mm-hmm. And so that was it's very multifaceted. I assume
it ends in, like, just they all get, like, serial murdered, and, like, that's the end.
Do you know how it ends, the show?
How the whole the show as a whole ends?
Yeah.
No, but I have seen some. I've seen some spoilers that make me think I know.
Do you know who takes over the company at the end?
Like, I think I do, but I'm not totally sure.
Who do you think it is?
Let's wait for the finale.
Yeah. I've already ruined it. Okay.
Don't pressure her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. It has some mystery elements, like in the overarching scheme of it.
If you told me it was a mystery, I would have been paying way more attention.
It's not necessarily like a murder mystery where it's like you're going to collect clues and there's going to be like a reveal, but I think like the way in which they have to like craft the story so that it remains really like ambiguous as to who's going to claim the throne at the end. They have to kind of throw red herrings at you.
I love that running this company is like claiming the throne.
No, literally, yeah.
No, it is. I just love that it's just basically like one of those shows about like who's next in line, except for it's a business and they're just
it's so like simple and like stupid, and like that's just what drives everything.
I mean, it's interesting because the show does a really good job of showing how like some of these massive companies are essentially like feudal systems where like there is like a line of succession where like maybe it's the eldest son, the eldest boy or whatever will take over, and like they all control so much power. It's not that far off from like the feudal system.
And it's like,
but their eldest boy's a little bitch, so he can't take over.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story.
The moral of this story is their eldest boy's a little bitch.
You're not a killer. You're not a killer.
Their second eldest boy seems to be way over his head.
And they're like
the daughter isn't really even involved that much, I feel like, in the family business. And the youngest son is also shit. So it's just like, who the fuck do we give this to?
No one's well adjusted enough to
No one's worthy.
Yeah. Cool. Should we get into the tropes then?
Yeah.
We started talking about.
One of the tropes I had that Max kind of brought up, and this is not necessarily what it's called, but the whole like abusive father, children desperate for his approval, trope of like that like abuse storyline,
like, generational trauma.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, you want to put a real name to it? That's fine. Whatever. I don't even care. Go away. I don't care. It's fine. But yeah, because Logan is obviously very abusive towards his kid. It's like it's terrible.
They really like sprinkle it in though. I find like you have to kind of piece together exactly like kind of what went down in their childhood,
because they don't talk about the childhood that much.
And it seems like the different kids have like he's dealt with them in different ways.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I find it really interesting because they'll like drop it off as like a one-off little sentence, and you're like, did you just say that? Like,
and sometimes they never go back to it.
Yeah, they'll never bring it up again. Like, there was a single sentence where I forget who was saying it to, like Kendall or maybe it was Roman. Or Shiv was one of the three.
One of the kids.
They just offhandedly mentioned that Roy sent Roman off to boarding school because Kendall was like the big dog or something. So he considered him the winner, and he had to send away the losing dog.
Yeah, well, I remember
also sometimes Connor's like, but then the response like, no, you wanted to go to military school.
Oh, so that was the cage thing, where they would put him in a cage.
Same thing with the cage thing. They were like, oh, you fed me dog food in a cage for like a week. It was like abuse. And they're like, no, like you love that game. You love playing dog. Yeah, and it was chocolate cake. And then you never know what it is. And
Are they gaslighting him? Or was he actually Because he has a bit of a kink for degradation.
Yeah.
Which could have started.
We can talk about Roman, but I have lots to say about
Yeah.
Roman. He's one of my faves.
He's a good character.
Which I know is controversial, but I'm a Roman stan.
I think people like Roman. He's fun to watch at the very least. Sorry, I can't say it.
Yeah, I think he is
characters.
entertaining. Like, he's entertaining to watch.
We can talk
Very
about,
entertaining.
well, one of my tropes in relation to Roman, one of the things I was going to talk about too is like, as a whole, how like it's very Shakespearean and how I think most of the tropes that you'll see in it are things that you'll find in like a lot of Shakespeare works as well. Namely, like one of those is Roman to me is like, he's like the Joker character who, but like he's always the one you want to listen to because he's always going to foreshadow, he speaks the truth. So he's like the most realist one that's going to like cut through the bullshit, which we kind of see at the end a little bit. And he's the most like...
He's a bit crass when he does it, but...
Yeah, he's like
it is.
vulgar because it's funny and he's like zany, but it's like he's usually the one putting, I don't know, saying the thing we're all thinking or like being the devil's advocate. But there's like a ton of them. Like I was thinking of like in season 4 after. Well, I guess we have to start spoiling it for Becca.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start spoiling at some point.
So
Before we go into spoilers, I want to get from what you've seen so far. I want to get your predictions for how the show will end.
How the show will end?
Yeah, I know. So you know some stuff already. It sounds like from spoilers.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that it got spoiled for me that Tom wins Succession. Is that true?
He wins the whole game show.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
very
I was pretty sure that it was him, but my prediction.
CEO of the company.
Yeah, whatever. Wins Succession.
He wins. No, yeah, he wins.
Because I saw like some random stuff and I was like, that's what I was like. I didn't know what Waystarco was, so I just like saw like a job description. I was like, I'm so confused. What the fuck? And then I was like, oh, I think that means he wins. And then I
because he's CEO or whatever.
Yeah, it said like something, and I was like, oh wait, what?
He does win at the end.
But yeah, I mean, I thought watching it, I was like, oh, this is just a story of like Kendall coming to take over the office. Basically, is what it feels like when you start watching it. And so I just assumed that like the whole story, because he also seems of the kids the only one who is like invested in like actually running the business.
Yeah.
Like Shiv kind of has her own. Like sometimes I don't understand why Shiv cares that much about stuff, because I'm like, it seems like your life is pretty separate from this business in general. Like you sort of have like you have a slice of it, so you want it to do well, but that's like.
But it's interesting how, because at the start she is very separate and she has her own lobbying or whatever she does, or
she does some political stuff,
or like she does campaigns, right? But like she slowly gets drawn back into the family business over the 4 seasons. And at the end, she's very.
Because at the start, like watching it, I would get really annoyed at her because I'd be like,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah, because I'm like,
bro, that's like she's at her least annoying.
Yeah,
that's like the best she ever is.
It just goes all downhill.
I feel like watching her, I'd get so annoyed because I'd be like, you don't really have a stake in this. I don't know why you like care so, like you have a stake in it, but I don't know why you care so much about like what's going on here, because like you have your very independent life, it seems like, in comparison to everyone else. So why do you care that much?
I think like maybe with like Kendall like that's the thing is that I guess this is like specific to Shiv, is she's the one where none of them have to do this. They're all gonna be millionaires regardless. Like their lives are gonna be, they could like choose to
they
spend
can do anything they want.
They could this is like so a nothing, but it's just Dad would want me to do this, or I want to prove myself to Dad.
They want Dad to want them to do it.
Yeah, they want Dad to pick them, I guess.
Like I think Kendall actually does want to run the company, but Shiv and Roman, I think more so just want the approval.
I think Roman wants the approval, which is why I get when he's like upset about shit and he's like, no, I want to be like a part of this, I want to do that or whatever. Like I totally understand why Roman wants to be involved. He seems to like actually want to be at the company also. I just like don't get it when Shiv has like a thing. I'm like, fucking why?
I think Shiv over the course of the show also gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
Especially by Roy.
Well, especially being, I think, and I don't like talking about it too much because I think they do a really good job of this isn't like a really inherent part of her character. Like the issue isn't like, it's very subtle and it's just like every day, but like she is the woman in like this group of men. So I think she does feel like a lot of resentment towards, she does have to work twice as hard to be noticed half as much. And like her dad didn't bring her into the company the way he did Roman and Kendall.
He didn't.
she's not groomed, or
Although,
she's not
like,
her. Yeah.
And that's why I think she has her own separate business as well. It's like she feels like she's actually had to prove herself.
Yeah. And she doesn't have company experience, but I think to me, like, the reason she wants to prove herself.
Are you guys having me have a modicum of respect for shit? I didn't have any.
Well, no, don't worry. We're gonna take that all away.
Good.
They're so like, good at, like, each character is so, like, you love them, like, they're so sympathetic, but like you're like
I'm gonna say you understand them, and that that's
what I was gonna say.
It makes perfect sense how they are the way they are.
And I think I said this, but Alice was gonna say about the show is that it really frustrates me because, like, I do feel very sympathetic towards it. Like I'll hear, like, parts of their life, like, I'll start to understand the character, and then I'll be really mad because I'm like, but you're still just so awful, and, like, I can't root for you. And so, like, I've just, like, I feel like exerted this emotional energy investing in you, only to realize that you just completely suck.
I think that's the way, so at least for me, that's the way I really enjoyed watching the show, is sometimes you do root for them and it's fun, but, like, if you're always rooting for things to just hit the fan and just be chaotic.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what happens when, like, Tom takes over. It's just chaos unfolds, which is the conclusion. If none of them get it, it's going to be a shit show.
It's actually
that's what I think I'm kind of
anticlimactic almost, I feel like, when they ended up. But I think that's what I love about the show.
They were definitely going to do that, I think.
Is they've done such a good job of, it's only unlikable people. There is not a single likable person in the cast. And they're still able to make you care and get invested in it and watch it.
Yeah, that's why I hate it, though.
And sometimes you love them, sometimes you hate them.
It's just really frustrating. Like, I think it's well done, and clearly they've crafted a very good show. It's just incredibly frustrating to watch because I'm like, oh, I'm getting invested in these people and their lives, and then I'm like, oh, like, you suck. Like, I hate this.
Yeah. You, like, so once in a while they remind you, these are awful people.
I'm like, yeah, it's like
sometimes you start to forget a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, oh, you kind of, maybe you do deserve, like, a chance. And then they get it and they just are terrible. And I'm like, oh.
That's the thing with, like, I feel like that's, like, a little bit of, like, the crafting of, like, the like, mystery of it element too, that they have to, like, if a character starts to look too good, they're gonna get knocked down. Like, if they start getting too close to it, there's, like, they're always going to get
oh, maybe this person is changing, and then they'll, like,
yeah.
I've watched shows before where, like, there are certain characters who are only, like, good people when their life is, like, in shambles. Like, they can only, like, have, like, self-improvement when their life is in shambles, and then as soon as things start going well for them, they just, like, turn into monsters. And when I watch it, I'm always just like,
oh, yeah.
I was rooting for you, and then all of a sudden you got a little bit of success, and now you're a monster. And it just kind of feels like...
Yeah,
I think it's also reflective of, like, just storytelling in general, because when things start to go well, you need to introduce a new element of conflict to keep the show going or whatever.
I think it speaks to as well, like, I think it is, like, these characters, like, the three Roy siblings are very, like, immature and stunted, like, children. Yeah. Like, children, essentially.
I mean, like, I think what in the first or second episode, Shiv and Roman were just, like, fighting. Like physically fighting each other.
Tom walks in and just turns around.
That was really funny. I was like, oh, this show's...
But I think, like, I think you're right, like, it is, like, they do need to have, but I think with Succession, to me, I never, like, I never at least, because the way they've just, like, with 4 seasons and we're done and they've kind of had the story, I think they are very intentional with it, but I think it is, like, just also people are kind of like that.
I think it's, like, a well done...
When you need help and support, because you're at your worst, that's when you're most, you know, you're willing to make the most compromise, and then when you get ahead...
No, I mean, I think it's
I'm just thinking of Kendall. I can't even, like, I just, all I'm thinking about is him. I can't think of any of the characters doing that, but...
I loved Kendall.
Kendall
is... I watched.
I think Kendall is the most dynamic character in the show, because each season, he changes so much, just, like, how he behaves, I find. Like, season 1, he's, like, balls to the wall, corporate bro, wants to run the company, and then, was it the end of season 1 that he crashes a car? And then the next season, he's just like, his dad's
season
bitch
2
boy,
Kendall
really sad.
So sad.
And then he, at the end of season 2, he goes on
the party?
The party?
His birthday party?
No, he's going to take the fall.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, fuck no, I'm not going to do this. And he becomes the same guy again.
There's
he goes through these waves of being, like, super alpha or, like, just subservient to his dad.
He just, he's...
That's hilarious. I think he's really funny when he's trying to be alpha. Like, I just think it's it's so hilarious to watch him trying to be alpha because I was like, I really kind of don't believe you.
One of my favorite things about Kendall, too, is, like, I was watching this other podcast.
Oh my god, you're not allowed to do that.
Get out of here. Other
podcast. Not an original idea, I'm sorry. But it was funny, someone was saying, the thing with Kendall is, like, anytime he's getting on stage or in front of camera, the people that are watching, because you know how they're always in the other rooms and they're watching to see how well the person's going to respond to questions or, like, how, diplomatic they're going to appear. Yeah. Kendall goes up there and it's always these intense situations and it's like, Kendall goes up there and they're watching, you never have a fucking clue what he's going to say when he's up there. He goes up there, he just does whatever he feels like doing. Like, he switches like that.
To talk, you know?
He likes to talk, but he just makes crazy decisions somehow.
Yeah, like, it's so fun.
With L to the OG, where he just turns on his
dad.
Oh
my god, that was so good. We need like an L to the OG section for the podcast. Have you seen that clip for L?
No.
Oh my god.
You haven't? You're not there yet?
I have to like pause and show you the
No,
clip.
just let her watch it in the show. Oh, well, yeah.
Well, I guess you'll watch the show.
I assume it's like, it's in season 1, right?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so. I think it's later on. We'll look it up.
Guys, I don't know if I'll finish the show. I'm going to be honest.
We'll show you out to the OG.
Right.
Not even to watch Tom schmooze his way to...
I do like Tom. I like Tom a lot more than I expected to like Tom. Because I kind of like, in a weird way, respect Tom.
I do too.
Because I feel like he can play the game really, like, considerably well.
Unlike the siblings, like, he had to work at least a little bit to get in this position.
I feel like he's had to work, and he kind of he understands, I think, his place, and like kind of understands, it seems like, how to get further, which like I really respect. Whereas the others, they're like, they'll always have this status, and they'll always like be at the top. So they don't really have to like understand the like intricacies of like the power dynamics as much as like someone like Tom, who's like coming from
like a lower
position.
They don't have to like play bore on the floor or like eat the shit that Tom does every day.
He's eating a lot of shit,
and like he has like that's his career, that's his job, and that's
how he gets.
And they don't understand that.
That's how he becomes CEO. Is he?
Yeah, by doing that.
Is Mattson knows he's good at eating shit and will eat his shit, and Tom is like, sign me up.
He's like, I will be your bitch boy. He's like, perfect.
I like the one line he has. He says, I have a very high tolerance for pain. And when he's selling himself to Mattson to be CEO, and he eats it up.
I think that becomes also really clear in like him and Shiv's relationship. The way Shiv just has like no like respect for his career ambitions, for his like work.
My other prediction of their relationship is I have to assume that they don't last, because that relationship is so terrible.
Last,
like they shouldn't be together at all. Like
they're not. It seems intact.
Like they hate each other. Like, most of the time it feels like she has no respect for him.
What's your opinions? Okay, so I know this is kind of controversial, and I have my own opinions, but, like, does Tom love Shiv, do you think? Do you think he's with her for the money?
I think he loves her.
Yeah, I think
he's head over... I think he loves her, but he knows that she doesn't love him. Like, he loves her.
Like, I think he's very much in love with her. I believe that. I even believe that, like, she loves him, but I don't think she has the ability to like actually love someone. Like, I think she loves him as much as she could love a person. I just don't actually believe that she has any like emotional ability. A capacity to love him.
I would say even she loves him, but she loves her dad more.
Yeah.
And he's always going to come first, and his approval is always going to come first.
I would even say maybe Tom is so ready to give her his approval.
Yeah.
And whereas she's never gotten that from her dad, so she knows she'll just get it from Tom no matter what, so she doesn't have to put any effort into it.
It's not like earned the way she wants her dad's approval to feel.
Well, it's just so
earned.
cheap when it comes from Tom as a way.
I know what you mean. It's like it's cheap, but it's in the sense of like with her dad, like to her to be working her entire life for her dad and suffering through all this abuse and like. With her family and like trying to get her and all that work, and then for someone to just come in and like offer that to you for free, that would feel like you're being cheated out of like these years of
like it's also hard to accept, like, because you don't like you've been trained to think a certain way that like you need to work for this approval and this like acceptance. So like when you meet someone who's not making you like work really hard for it, you don't really understand. You're like, what's wrong with them? Like, it must be something that's wrong with them.
This is fake. Like, whatever.
Like, this can't actually be real. They can't actually be, like, thinking this.
You like gaslight
so
yourself
sad.
on this. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is really sad.
I just watched an episode where like Shiv, like I was like, is she gonna cheat on Tom?
Oh,
And then
boy.
she's
I mean,
like,
she doesn't cheat on.
she doesn't, but I like the way she so casually says, we should be good. And I'm like, sorry, what? Like, you don't like you're saying this like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, it would be so funny, silly if we cheated,
So-
but like, let's not.
So can we give Becca a little arc on
Yeah.
Shiv and Tom's relationship?
Yeah, give her
Catch up.
the.
So they get married, actually. Did you know?
I know they get married, so my prediction was that they were going to get divorced by the end of the show.
The night of their wedding, Shiv and Tom are having they go to a room off by themselves.
Well, I get one of the guests that they're wanting is the guy that she's doing her
Yeah.
campaign tour with.
And she does
Nate.
cheat on him. With
Oh, does she
Nate.
cheat?
I'm pretty sure
she
they
does
do
sleep with him before,
yeah.
I guess.
The night of their
discussion.
wedding?
No, the
Oh.
night of their wedding, Shiv tells
I
Tom
was
that
like,
she
what?
wants an open relationship and she can't do the monogamy.
Oh.
Like, they're in their marital bed, like,
Yeah.
after the
That's-
ceremony.
That's
To be
such
fair,
a
Tom has
beautiful
cheated on
conversation.
her as well at his bachelor party, but they had like an agreement.
She's been kind of like prepping him for it. I think in a way she's kind of mentioned like, oh no, I'm okay if you like fool around a little bit, like mess around when like I'm not there. So he gets a blowjob, but he swallows his own load.
Yeah, it's a closed
So-
system loop,
Yeah.
so it doesn't count. Yeah, that
But-
was a fun
and then-
moment at his bachelor party where this girl gives him a blowjob and then baby birds that come back into his mouth and he swallows it.
Yeah.
And then that girl starts to date Roman later, and like
Oh, is it
everyone
the
just
same
knows about it. Yeah,
Right.
that's a fun one.
I think it's also that's very Tom too. He swallows his own load. Like he's good at
That
swallowing
is such a
loads.
Tom move. It really is.
I love when he goes to tell Greg, this was so hot. Like she just
Yeah.
swallowed my load and put it back
Greg's
into
like,
my mouth.
I haven't really heard of that. I don't think people do that.
I love Greg and Tom's
Oh yeah, we can talk about
relationship.
that.
That's
Yeah.
a fun, that's
The
a
best
fun
relationship in
dynamic.
the show.
It's the only reason that I feel like I enjoy the show is watching those two just like interact with each other. I'm like, what the fuck?
I think so. When
It's so funny.
when I first started watching the show, I hated Tom. I did not like him at all.
Really?
But over the course, I think he became my favorite character. The sole reason is he is the only person in the show that I can think of that actually cares about other people regardless of what they can do for him. Every single other person in the show, the relationship is based on what they can
Like
do.
he
Yeah.
kind of does take Greg under his wing. a
He
little.
just loves Greg.
I think he shows Greg how this world like works. Like yeah, he's kind of
It's
addicted
tough
to him
love,
sometimes,
but-
but like
Yeah,
I
in
do
his
actually
way.
think he cares about Greg. Like it
He
doesn't
does.
feel like. Yeah, no, I believe that Tom cares about the characters in the show, like the other people around him, more than I believe that any of the other characters actually care.
And Tom also loves Shiv. Like he actually
He's
does.
very
Yeah, no.
Tom is very
I
like
believe
logical, I
that.
think, as well, especially with his like alliances. Like when he tells Kendall, like maybe I would side with you, but I've only ever seen you get fucked, and I've never seen and like he just plays
I've never
it
seen
so
you
well.
lose.
And it's like, how do you say to that? Like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, no.
that's probably the right play. But I thought, especially you say, I didn't pick up right away that like Tom was taking Greg under his wing out of like just love. I thought it was maybe he's another Rory, he's another member of the family, and so for him it's like a place further.
Maybe it started that way
I
as
don't
well.
think it started as
I'm
like
just
him
finding
out of
it.
the goodness of his heart being like, oh, let me take Greg under my wing.
Yeah.
I think he saw it as like this is a person who's at a lower status than me, so
Yeah.
finally someone I can fuck with.
That's
who,
what I
like,
think too.
Who isn't like I don't have to be the bottom of the food chain anymore. This person can be the bottom of the food chain, and so he's like showing him the ropes, but he's treating Greg. I feel like the way that they treat him, maybe to a
Yeah.
less severe
Definitely.
extent.
I think
but-
it also does like a really good job of showing because like when you see like the Roys, so like it goes, like the hierarchy of power, like we always see the main players, which are like the A plot of the Roys and Logan, and then I think it does a really good job of like so we always see the Roys with Tom and how they treat Tom so much less. I mean, when you think about it, Tom's also like at an executive level in this massive conglomeration. He's also like
Yeah.
a
He has a
top-notch
big
CEO. So he's also like leading like all these employees, and he's also like making all these business decisions. And
I
so
think-
you kind of see
yeah.
how he handles that versus how like the Roys handle that.
And I think they show that really well in that scene where they do the layoffs.
Yeah,
Where he comes in and he's like clearly does not give a fuck at all, and then they
Yeah.
just fire like 50 people or whatever. But no, yeah, Greg is totally his punching bag. You
Yeah.
guys know that episode where they have the lockdown at the office, and like he starts like abusing Greg because he's having marital problems with. I don't know if they were married at that point with Shiv, But yeah, he starts whipping water bottles.
It was, I think, like
I
right
actually
after.
have seen that clip. I've seen random clips of Tom, like so many random clips of just Tom and Greg.
Like, because Tom and Shiv, they're constantly having problems with it. I think they were having problems at that point. And then Greg came to him and he's like, I want to like, not work for you anymore. I want to try working somewhere else. And he's like, are you breaking up with me? And then he's like, no, you're not allowed to leave.
But I think it's, now I'm just thinking of this now, it's kind of fun too, because I feel like Tom, like, rewards Greg at the end for having put up with, like, all of his shit.
Oh, yeah,
like,
definitely.
he gives Greg the position of his right-hand assistant. And
it's still a very toxic
like,
relationship.
Yeah, like, I don't
it's
think
toxic,
it's a
but it's
healthy
like,
one, but they have what feels like a more genuine relationship.
Exactly.
So it's like, if the show is saying that Tom, which I think it is at the end, I'm forgetting the finale, sorry, it was whatever.
I mean, we've just kind of really jumped all over.
I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, we can follow wherever it goes.
They're like, especially because I think they double down on this leading up to the finale of how Tom deserves the title more because he's the only one really working, and he's working. They show him working like he's missing all these events and he's overtired and stressed because he's putting in all these hours at work and like running an ATM. Yeah, and he's like kind of breaking down because he's putting. And then he wins and he awards Greg for the same thing too. So it's kind of like showing like Greg was schmoozing Tom, so Greg wins, and then Tom was schmoozing everyone, so he wins.
Yeah, no, I think Tom genuinely loves Greg, and I think Greg. I liked Greg at the start of the show, but by the end of the show, I didn't like his character. I don't think he really cares about Tom at all. He's just a tool for him.
I think Greg is a character who he's right now my favorite character because I'm on episode 7, and I think it's funny to watch like the dumb, like bumbling idiot who like also like he's introducing us to the world because like they have to explain everything to him to explain it to the audience because he like doesn't understand.
Yeah.
So it's like a good like
he's the audience insert a bit.
Yeah,
and then I am like watching it and I'm like, oh, it's almost depressing to watch because I'm like, what's gonna happen is he's gonna just like turn into one of them. Like he's gonna become
and he
sort
does
of like just like all of them and be like all he cares about is like money and success and like it. Whereas like right now he's kind of like a sweet, just like idiot.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think to give Greg, I don't know, less or more credit. I think he's a little more conniving at the start because I think he has a lot of the traits that get amplified later on at the beginning.
I think he's.
I mean, he does kind of snake his way in.
Like, I don't think he's fully stupid. Like, I think he understands this.
No,
is
he's like awkward and kind of a loser, but he's kind of a slimy loser.
Like,
which
I think
is what
he understands this is his shot at success. Like, this is his shot at like having.
Well, they show that he's getting high at work, throws up in his he's lazy, he's useless. This is kind of his family slides him right in. It's an easy way to like make a living. He starts enjoying the rich life.
No, I don't think he's hardworking in any sense or like
respectable.
Like,
I think he's like as worthy of it as any of the other Roy kids.
Yeah, like I think because he also like grew up with, like the.
I think he grew up fairly
family.
Removed from the core.
But
family,
like even the place he was working, like that was a place that like he got the job because his family owns it. Like it sounds like every job he's gotten, everything he's done has been because he has family connections. Whether it's like removed from the original.
Right. Yeah.
And he gets caught at work. He calls his mom. You know what I mean? Like he's like he has $20.
Like, Mom, what do I do?
But he also like in that first episode, he calls his mom and immediately lies, makes up a whole story about what happened at work. Immediately when he goes to the Roy, starts schmoozing for a job. Logan gets a stroke. He's still like trying to slide in for a job. He plays Shiv and Roman when Roman asks him to go get the documents.
Yeah.
And then Shiv tells him forget the documents, and he does, and Shiv gives him some brownie points for that. Like he's always climbing, and he's always still making those calculated moves from the start. I think he just gets richer.
I mean, I don't like. I think it's just sad to watch the character that like he was like slimy and like. Oh yeah. He was like I don't think he was like ever like a nice person so much as I was like he's sort of like a bit more innocent
like,
to the
I guess
I know that throughout the show like he's just gonna like he's not gonna be like the pure eyes of like oh like this is like my family and it's more like oh no this is like a
but I think he is a little more innocent at the start of the show.
Yeah.
I remember his initial romance with Comfrey or whatever and I was like kind of shipping it.
And then
but there was some assistant that he liked, and like everyone was shooting. Comfrey. She's great. She's just a hard worker, and like everyone was like, she's way out of your league. And then he finally got it. And I'm like, I was happy for him, but then he immediately like tried to climb the social ladder and started hitting on like that duchess at the party.
Yeah.
I immediately forgot about her.
He just
I assume
he
gets an inch in us for a mile.
He kind of does.
It was also kind of interesting
rumors that the actor is also kind of a dick.
Oh,
honestly, I do think that
he plays the role of like kind of Greg in like real life. Like seems like an awkward, cute guy, but apparently he's kind of an asshole.
That's a couple of things. I was gonna say, I think like this is like a show where that's why I also kind of like Tom a lot. All the actors are phenomenal in the show. I think a lot of them are very much like their characters and personality. Like you see that, like
they're playing themselves a little bit.
Kieran McCulkin talks like real, like that's just kind of his personality. And like Brian Cox kind of is a Logan, like he's
and Kendall and Shiv, like they behave. That's
Kendall
how they behave
is,
in real life.
Yeah, it kind of like that's how they talk. And then I think Tom does like the flip.
Tom is British.
Yeah,
he's British.
Yeah. Well,
I saw an interview and I was like, is he doing an accent?
I saw
Mr. Darcy.
The first time I
I
saw a clip of the show Succession was a random interview with the guy who plays Tom and Nicholas Braun, and they were doing like a role swap, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
That's funny.
That was the first time like I'd heard you guys talk about Succession. I straight up thought it was something else entirely. I think I thought Succession was Empire when you guys were talking about it.
Same idea, right? But I think the casting was pretty stellar.
Yeah.
The people they got for each character.
Did you know that? So apparently Logan Roy was supposed to die in episode 1. That was supposed to kick off the series. Yeah.
So
in the initial stroke that he
would have made more sense for the Succession part of the title.
So I have a question. Does Logan die at any point in the series? Does he die at the end?
Episode like 3 or 4 is this season 4.
Because I assumed that season 4 either like the last season ended either with he finally retires or he goes kaputs.
He dies, it's Connor's wedding day, and instead of going to the wedding, he's getting on the private jet to go to a business meeting to renegotiate a deal to sell his company that his children blocked because they want to take over the company. They don't want him to sell it. Yeah. So he has to go renegotiate. So he's getting on a private jet with Tom and Greg. Greg isn't there.
No, but like the executives.
The inner circle. Yeah, Jerry and stuff. And he dies off screen unceremoniously by dropping his phone in the toilet and having a stroke or a heart attack.
That was also another really fun one-off line that they kind of just dropped, and I'm like, is that real?
That episode, amazing episode. That was my favorite episode of Succession.
It's really good.
Maybe that and the funeral.
Because they shoot it from like 99% of it from the perspective of the kids at the wedding, getting like the info through the phone, and then they do a few cuts to what's happening on the plane.
They never show him.
Yeah, really. Or like it's very like they don't show a lot of him.
It's Tom, mostly Tom relaying to them what's going on with their dad. They're doing chest compressions, like and like putting the phone next to his ear so they can see their last goodbye.
So Tom's just on board with this plan of him selling the company, like he's
so what happens?
He's the employee. He just does whatever Logan says to do, right? This is just his job.
Once they have the falling out.
This is him and Shiv are separated.
Yeah. He has to make a choice between Shiv or backing Logan Roy again.
Yeah.
And because there's obviously. Logan's trying to sell the company, the kids want to block it, and like there's that moment where he goes to Greg and he's like, I think I'm gonna make a big move, do you want to come with me? And like Greg's like, what is this move? But I think that's another good moment of showing like why Tom just really loves him and wants to have him on his side.
Yeah.
But then so Tom sides with Logan Roy, and so he's like working with him on getting this deal.
Shit.
So I was thinking, I feel like the Tom I know, the little bitch boy who will do whatever Shiv says.
I was so proud of Tom for doing that.
Yeah.
Fuck. Because I was right at the crux of Shiv was treating him like such shit that entire season.
It's treats him like shit.
Of course he's gonna turn on you, and she underestimates him all the time.
I was just watching really one of the episodes where he's like talking to his mom on the phone, and he's like, "Well, maybe we'll see you at Christmas," and she's like, "I don't know, New Year's," and she's like. Like, I'm like, sorry, he's just not allowed to see his family.
His parents show up at their like engagement party or like the reception for their wedding, and they're from the Midwest. They're just like a middle class couple from they bring like a pasta salad in like saran wrap, and he's like, oh, we'll just the staff will take that in later. And, like it's this catered like mansion event going on. He's so cute, and like I think that made me love him like so much more is when he did start sticking up to himself because.
Yeah, I know.
So like ego Tom.
Yeah.
Get that bag.
It was the other shoe had to drop at some point.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't keep putting it up.
So him and Shiv are separated at the end of the show.
They have like a complicated thing.
Shiv's pregnant with his baby.
Shiv gets pregnant.
They are separated
They should
they
not be having a
separate
kid
and they
together.
They should absolutely not.
Should not be having
Oh,
a
don't worry. Her
child.
mom lets her know. A lot of people let her know that she should not be having a child.
So they are separated and they're going to get divorced, and they like have said some horrendous things to each other at this point. She finds out she's pregnant with Tom's baby, and at the end of the show, the kids kind of unite at the last. Do we want to go into it?
Yeah.
Just to explain the context here. They unite to like
One
block
last,
the deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, they agree Kendall will be CEO. They have the votes, and for whatever reason, at the vote itself, Shiv has like a crisis of faith and decides to vote for the deal to go through.
And that's what sells the company.
Because she knows that Tom is the runner-up. Because this whole time she's been working with Matt.
Yeah, that's complicated.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Let's talk about Shiv's decision at the end.
Okay.
So she swings it. She says, I love you, but I just can't fucking stomach you. And then Kendall calls them all out of the boardroom, like interrupts the vote. It's like, no, we have to go talk about this in private, which you can't do. And they go into like this glass boardroom
Everyone's
and just
watching them.
like 8-year-olds yelling at each other. Kendall like tries to wrestle Shiv at one point, or tries to hit who's pregnant. Kendall or like Roman tackles them. They start fighting like a physical, and there's like the execs in the boardroom next door watching them. And then the sale goes through, and
Oh, so that's how Tom gets to win.
But this is after Shiv knows that Tom is
originally
gonna be CEO if the company gets sold.
Shiv was working with Mattson, the guy who's trying to buy the company.
Yeah.
Kind of in the background against her
It's
brothers.
so complicated. I feel like we took it back.
She thinks she can become CEO because he needs an American CEO because...
Wait. Let's.
Oh my
I feel
God,
like we're
so
working
much stuff.
backwards.
Oh,
So
shit.
Logan, right?
Well, it's just context you need to build the to the decision
I know, but
she
I
makes
feel
at
like
the
we should
end.
explain it backward. Like
Should we start from the beginning and work up to that?
Logan dies.
Okay.
The company's about to get sold. It's gonna get sold to Mattson, which is this like Norwegian, Scandinavian,
Dude,
whatever.
it's like Elon Musk
Skarsgård.
in the show.
One of the Skarsgårds.
Skarsgård?
A Skarsgård. Not
Not the hot one, though.
not
No,
the
he is
old
the hot
one.
one.
But he's very hot.
It is the hot
Alexander
one.
Skarsgård.
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah. Maybe you will finish
So
the show.
he kind of steps in as like
Maybe.
he's buying.
I love him. He's so hot.
He's fucking amazing in this too. I think he's buying the company from them. He was going to buy it from their dad. That's the deal they're negotiating. So now the kids step in as like CEOs in the interim.
Interim CEOs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they decide for that. We can't
So
have
see the deal
Shiv
through.
do it. She's not even on the company. She doesn't even work for the company. So they have Roman and Kendall be co-CEOs, and they're like
Because
the
they're
last
already,
season. They were already COO and
CFO?
something like that.
Like chief operating and chief financial.
Yeah, they were already next in line. It made sense for them.
it was like in the provisions already for in this event.
and
they're
I think
supposed
like
to
the
take
board
over.
kind of assumed their son that would step. Anyways,
And so Shiv
Well, I mean,
kind of
that's
took
kind
a
of what they
leap
did.
of faith and trusted
Yeah.
them. Was like, I'll be part of this though, and they're like, yeah, they'll be part of it.
and then they kind of slowly start shutting her out of like different decisions. So then she starts playing the other side and starts working with Mattson. So she says, I'll help you push this deal through because my brothers are trying to block this deal and they're going to try and trick you into like saying you don't want to buy the company. But I'll work with you. But I think you should appoint an American CEO so that we can have better connections with this new president that's going to be elected this year.
So the last season's like against the backdrop of an American election where like ATM makes a huge call which swings the election one way, and the guy who is going to become president, though it's left vague if he actually does end up being president, is
Basically
like
like a Trump
a kind of a
figure.
nationalist guy.
Yeah.
And he's going to block the deal unless they can find an American CEO.
Oh, okay.
So Shiv's like, I
appearances.
know a great American that would be a great CEO.
Except for, I don't get why Shiv wants to be CEO. This is not anywhere near anything she's ever done for work.
Yeah, but
This isn't a job
they
that she
just
can
all
do.
blindly
Shiv is
want
very
at this point.
Shiv also, I don't know, I think she is smart, but she fucking believes she's the smartest person in
I
every
think,
room.
I was reading something that was like, Shiv's probably the smartest, they said, Shiv's probably the smartest character on the show, but she's not as smart as she thinks she is.
Yeah.
Like, she might be smarter than everyone else, but that doesn't mean that she's as smart as she thinks she is.
She oversteps a lot, and I think a lot of them do, and I think like that's like the difference between them and Tom as well. Is like they don't know how to just eat.
Well, they have like, they have an incredible amount of like arrogance.
Yeah, they're like we're next in line, but it's like based on what. But yeah, so anyways,
I
they're
think
going
all
into
of
this.
them also think that they've worked really hard for this and that they really deserve it, and that's almost what's
Yeah.
like really funny about it too. When I watch, is I'm like, you genuinely think that, like, you've worked really hard and deserve this opportunity.
Yes.
The way that, like, someone like Tom, who's, like, slowly climbed up the rungs of the ladder, probably actually does deserve it a little bit.
When they told Tom that he was gonna... So then Shiv wants to be the American CEO for Mattson, but Mattson finds out she's pregnant, which I think is a big part of it, and also he doesn't know if he
also
trusts
just
her.
using her a little bit.
He says, I'm also kind of into her, and I have a lot of scandals already with sleeping with my employees and, like, sexual assault allegations and, like, harassment, so I probably shouldn't put myself in that position again. So he swings towards Tom, and he starts talking to Tom, and he's like, this would be the perfect man to be my CEO,
He
because I could
tells Tom that he
control
wants to
him.
fuck Shiv when he's interviewing him essentially for CEO.
To see how much he can take, basically.
Take his shit, yeah.
Is he just going to let him say that?
And Tom just did.
Tom passes with flying colors, baby. He eats shit
And
for
they
breakfast,
announced him,
lunch,
do you want to be
dinner.
my new CEO? Do you think you can do that? And the surprise on Tom's face.
It's like, I can do that. I can do that.
So then anyway, so Shiv does know that Tom is next in line, but I don't know if that's the main reason why she doesn't want Kendall to take over as CEO. Because she also says, which I think is a really important line for me, is she says to Kendall, why won't you let me have this? Why can't I just be CEO? She goes, because I can't fucking stomach you. Because he goes into the votes, and when he's about to lead the votes, he starts acting like his dickish self again, because he's high up on himself and confident. He starts being classic, like, Kendall Roy. Yeah. It's like, let's just skip the formalities. We all know that this is a shit deal. Let's just get the votes in.
To be clear, if it's between the three kids, I do think Kendall is the only one.
Really?
He's definitely the most qualified.
Who, like, of the three of them, if you're telling me I have to pick one of them to be CEO, Kendall is a no-brainer choice.
Well, he's been working in the company most of his life.
He's done it. He was, like, sort of trying to take over in season 1. Like, he has some actual experience.
I think that what they show you in season 4 as well is, like, how, they say he could very much become the next Logan Roy, but, like, it's a descent if he does. Like, to me, the show was always going to be, if the tragic ending would be if Kendall became the CEO. And this is the optimistic ending to me, is that it's taken away from them and it's not in their lives anymore.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That is probably the optimistic.
But I think he would have become the next Logan. I think any of them could have done it, except for maybe Roman, because shit seemed to just go really wrong.
Roman can't fucking run shit, dude.
He's way too chaotic.
Roman, I don't think
just
Roman...
fires people.
As far as I can tell from him, Roman has no, like force. Like, he doesn't think anything through. He just kind of does what he wants at any given moment. He's good at the schmooze. And he loves to cause shit. Yeah. As far as I can tell, Roman really loves to cause shit.
He's definitely, like, ballsy, which I think is his thing. And he thinks that that's going to make people respect him more, because their dad's a lot like that. He's, like, telling everyone to fuck off and, like, being really crass and like, he's like, I think, the scary one. Like, when they're co-CEOs, he's, like, the bad cop, and Kendall's, like, the good cop. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Which is scary.
I don't know, man. They're both kind of fucking off the wall at that point.
But I think for the optics, kind of. Yeah. That's how they show it. I think Shiv could have done it. I think she would have been...
She's smart.
I think she would have... Like, how hard is it to be... Like,
she could have definitely done it.
I think she could have.
I just don't think... Like, it's not that I don't think she could do it. Mm-hmm. It's that I don't understand why Shiv...
Wants to,
or, like, why she's, like, even a part of... Like, it makes sense to me sometimes when you're, like, describing it, that, like, Kendall and Roman are cutting her out. It makes sense to me, because Shiv isn't really a part of it. Like, it feels like, to me, she's not as much a part of it.
Well, it's because you've only seen the first 7 episodes.
I guess
also, though, keep in mind that Shiv has as much ownership in the company as either of her brothers. So she is as important for, like, these board meetings. She is, like, a main player, like, when it comes down to if the company's going to get sold or who's going to be the CEO. Like, she also has a say in that.
No, I get that, like, she would be invested in the company doing well.
Yeah.
But I don't get why she feels like why she wants to run it when it seems like it's very much not her field.
Because it felt so good when her dad told her, "You're going to be CEO. Isn't this everything you've always wanted?"
Does her dad tell her that?
Yeah. He tells all of them they're going to be it. Like, no, it's fucked.
He's constantly waffling. Like,
he gaslights the shit out of them. Yeah.
He wants to live forever and run the company forever is what he really wants.
But I think, like, Logan, the funnest thing about him is how little they kind of use him. He doesn't talk a lot.
And when he does,
he's looming in the background.
Well, I just watched an
not
episode
saying
where
much.
I just watched the episode where they were like doing the vote to like kick him out, and they're like, "You're not allowed to be in the boardroom when we do this
And
vote."
he's
He's
like,
like, "Fuck you!" No,
Yeah.
he's just like
But that's-
screaming bloody
That's
murder.
kind of his character. He's this bull who always gets his way, and that's kind of the reason
He's
he's
a
been
bully,
so
yeah.
successful.
He's pretty, like, I think publicly, like, they kind of allude to, like, the public isn't a fan of him. Like, they think he's, like, a despicable
Everyone
millionaire.
hates him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except for the shareholders.
because he's
who thinks
Rupert
they're-
Murdoch, and no one likes Rupert Murdoch.
But he's such, like, I think he's such a good, like, God representation. Like, they literally call him God at some point. Sometimes it just feels so, like, he
Sometimes
runs
he's
the world.
more than a person. Like he's like this
Yeah.
entity.
And they're
commands
all
respect.
working for his approval. Like,
Yeah.
everyone is in service to Logan Roy, and he makes the ultimate decisions, even though he's not really involved in anything. So he's kind of like,
And Logan Roy, you know, like you were saying, what Tom said to Kendall. Like I've never seen Logan Roy lose. He doesn't lose. The only way they win is he dies,
He
and
loses.
and they don't even
life.
win then. They can't
Yeah.
even fucking take it then.
Yeah.
Like,
they can't stop the deal.
they just can never do it. And that's,
They're
Yeah.
bumbling idiots. But yeah, he's more like a force of nature sometimes than just a character.
yeah. I always say, yeah, it's really interesting. It's, like, really fun. I just kind of
I
skip
feel
this
like that's a character
bit.
that like I hate though, because
Oh yeah,
like to like have in a show, because I'm
Oh.
like, oh, like you're just like, if you're never gonna lose and you're like, this is big bad that like I want to see. It almost feels like that's how you.
Yeah, I
That's
guess.
like, okay, well then like never do I see like you fall.
They do show, like, some moments of weakness for him. He
Definitely.
falls ill, so sometimes he does, because he's, like, fucking 70 years old, I
Yeah.
think, something like that. So
he's
he,
old. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he almost dies in the first episode.
like, yeah, season 1, he's supposed to be retiring, and then he just continued.
Yeah.
Anyways, but
yeah, I think even in the first episode they say like he was supposed to retire a while ago, but he just never would.
And there are times where things like don't go his way, like he has to recalculate his plans, but ultimately like he's always has the upper hand in the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
But that's boring.
and he can't
But
let
they
it
do
go.
a good job of you're always like unsure of how it's gonna go. And like even though he does ultimately always end up winning, you're like, oh, is
Yeah.
Kendall gonna fall
I think
off this time?
especially, like, early on, you do think that he might just, like, you're waiting to see which kid he's gonna pick, probably because he's more involved.
Yeah.
And then slowly you realize he's not letting go of
And
his
then,
company.
yeah, so, like, I think it's kind of, he just never lets go of the company because he can't. That's
See,
his entire life.
yeah,
and
I
he
mean,
dies on a work trip. Like,
I assumed that he would never, like, watching it, I'm like, oh, he's never gonna, like, let one of his kids take over. He has,
Okay, yeah.
He has no respect for it. Like, he has no, like,
figured it out
even, like, a
quickly.
modicum of, like, affection towards them. Like, he hates his kids. He hates all of them.
I don't think he hates them. I think he does love them. But he's such an emotionally stunted person.
Like,
Like, he doesn't know how
I think
to.
he hates what they are. Like, I think he's created them into what they are to now, but I think he absolutely hates that. Like,
I think he certainly sees their shortcomings, but I think he still loves them ultimately.
They also kind of show, like, later on when he's sitting with his bodyguard Colin, I think, and he's like, oh, you're my best friend, and they kind of show, he talks a little bit, I think it's the longest he's ever spoken for on the show. He talks about how he's the king of everything and how meaningless, like, a lot of life is. Like, the average person is, like, so meaningless to him because he's so high above it all.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, like, he kind of just can't connect to his kids because, like, he's just so closed, like, he's just sociopathic.
yeah, I mean,
almost.
that's
like,
basically all of them. It's
Definitely
like,
a sociopath.
Yeah.
they don't, they're not, none of them are really able to, like, form
Yeah.
real.
There's a great fight between Tom and Shiv too at the end that I think where Tom just tears into her, like, you're broken and you cannot love me and you cannot be like you need to fix
Yeah, that
yourself.
was a
Like,
good fight.
yeah, that
At
was
the
so
election
good.
party.
You
And
just,
that
on the
didn't
back.
You're just
end
waiting.
their relationship yet.
Well, they were separated.
did you think that they were maybe gonna get back together at any point in season
Well, like
4?
they started to reconcile, and then they had that fight. And I'm like, okay, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sorry.
then she got pregnant.
So I'm really confused. So she got pregnant, so they got back together, or she's just pregnant.
She didn't tell him for a bit. She got pregnant while they were were separated. It was complicated.
But they, like,
she was
slept
pregnant.
together a few
yeah,
times.
but
They
they were
went back together.
separated. And then she tells him, and they have a big fight.
I think ultimately she decides she wants to have the kid, and like, Shiv is a bit of a survivor throughout the whole show. Like,
She
like,
adapts and like
adapts, and she's
yeah.
trying to keep her head above water in some ways a lot of the time. And I think when she looks at the final choice of like, she could have a kid, she could have her husband be CEO of Waystar Royco, and they could have like a nuclear family to raise.
Yeah.
That kid's gonna be fucked up no matter what happens, obviously. But
It's not, like, to me, it's not Tom that's gonna fuck up the kid as much as,
No.
like, he probably will, but
I mean, yeah, he'll have his own way.
it's Shiv's kid, like...
But, like, ultimately...
At least it'll be less fucked up probably than Shiv because Logan won't be involved. He's dead.
Yeah, sure.
No, Shiv will do a good job of passing it on.
Don't worry,
they
Shiv
kind
will
of
still fuck it up.
also show how, like, the mom is almost, like, worse in certain ways than Logan.
The mom is just so far removed and does not really care
She's, like,
about her kids
crazy
at all.
a bit.
So I haven't met their mom, have I?
No,
Because
I
the
don't think
woman
so.
Logan's
Oh.
married to isn't their
I
mom.
think
No.
you meet her in the wedding episode for
Maybe,
the first
yeah.
time.
Yeah, she's not in it
Because
much.
I don't think... Because I know that Shiv mentioned her mom lived in, like, England or something like that, but...
I just think she didn't really want anything to do with the kids, and, like, Logan raised them. Like, I remember in one episode she
Yeah.
frames it as she made that deal so that they could retain their
Their
stake in
shares,
the company
yeah.
and secure their financial future, but she just does not really... She's not invested in her children. She doesn't really want to...
She's just, like... Yeah, she just, like, is incapable, it seems like.
And, like, when Kendall has killed that one kid by crashing the car, and he, like, tells his mom he wants to talk to her about something pretty serious, and she makes up an excuse and says, let's talk in the morning, and then disappears to avoid the conversation.
Yeah. She is, like, is telling Shiv constantly, like, oh, you put on so much weight, or, like, oh, you're gonna have a kid? That's fucking stupid. Or, like, maybe you should have dogs instead, or, like,
Yeah.
whatever. So she's pretty fucked up, and I think they just show, basically, like, that's who Shiv just becomes. Like, she becomes the sad wife of this Waystar CEO.
There are a lot of
Yes,
parallels between
yeah.
Shiv and her mom.
It's so, like,
So, Connor's the oldest, right?
yes.
And
Right,
is
Connor.
he's-
We
is
always
he's
forget
their-
about Connor.
He's their half-sibling, though, I thought.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
So, he's the mom's kid or he's Logan's
Look,
kid?
he's
He's
Logan's
Logan's.
kid from a different woman that Logan had locked up in an insane asylum when Connor was like 10 years old or something.
Why did he ever lock that?
They don't really
Because it
explain.
was the 80s. I
You
don't know.
can
He just
read
said,
into it as much as
witch!
you
And
Basically,
and
probably.
They were like,
want.
oh,
But
okay.
I think it's an interesting
It sounds
choice that they
awful.
don't explain it too much.
Yeah.
They just leave it up to the audience to like
Yeah,
percolate on that. And like Logan could have definitely had the power to have a same person locked up. Maybe she was. Kind of
I mean,
insane.
I don't like Connor.
Maybe
so.
he drove her insane.
I liked him in the first episode, but after that, I didn't like him.
I think Connor is the most genuine person in that show. Like
he's
he's
like well
always-
adjusted. I think.
he always says what he's feeling and thinking. Like he never lies, and I think that just sets him at least a rung above everyone else. in a
Yeah,
way.
but I still hate him.
he sucks in his
he's
own
kind
ways.
of a delusional millionaire at times.
Yeah.
Like when he runs for president.
He's just like a dumbass with too much money
yeah,
and spare
but
time.
whatever. I guess it's better than
Like, I definitely am not interested when he comes onto the show. In the first couple episodes, I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. He's just, like, randomly, just feels like he lives on a farm and just, like, doesn't, like, really care about, like, all this other stuff. And then, like, after the first 2 episodes of it, I was like, you just kind of are annoying.
yeah.
Kind of a little bitch.
Do you have any like? Is there any characters that you don't like on the show? Like,
I
I mean, like, I don't like
think
that. Like, you were annoyed when they came on the screen. I guess. Or,
I
like-
fucking hated Mattson, dude. I
Really?
fucking hate him. Oh, he's so annoying, dude. Because he's like, he's just like just likes to fuck with people, and like is very unlikable. I find. I don't know. I just found his presence very irritating.
What annoyed me about him, I think, was maybe the reveal that he's kind of made up. Like when they say,
Oh, he's not a real coder.
yeah, he's not a real coder. We made it, and because it's kind of like that took a lot of wind out of his sails for me a bit. Like I kind of liked.
That
I
he
guess
was
they
like
reveal
this
at the end.
tech bro.
I kind
haunted
of
by
like
his
that maybe
demons.
he was like a challenge for them. Like maybe he is as good as Logan Roy, or like maybe he is the next.
Yeah.
He is the future, but they're kind of just like, no, another shitty millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated Shiv, like, instantly.
I love Shiv.
I know.
I just love how complicated she is. I
hate
think
her.
she's so fun to watch. I love.
She's like the one who, like, I, like, sympathize with the least.
That's fair.
And, like, every time I watch her on screen, I'm like, like,
No,
just
that's
go
really
away.
useful.
But honestly, there's no character where I have a straight graph of like I hated them the whole time or liked them the whole time. Like most characters will go enter through both. Like there are times where I like Shiv, and then other times I'm like, what the
I
fuck are you doing?
consistently
I
disliked her
didn't
for
like-
all 7 episodes.
I forget her name now. She voices Elastigirl.
Oh yeah, yeah. The CEO of Pierce.
Yeah.
Or Pearson or whatever.
I thought they showed her a little
PGI.
bit too much. I was like, oh, I know this character's gonna disappear in like 4 episodes.
I liked Kendall's
I don't need to spend
ex-wife.
as much time with her. Yeah, Rhea.
I really like
She's
her.
cool.
Okay, yeah, I take it back. There is a likable character.
I watched the show.
She was
and I'm
so
just like,
cool.
Just because she's a normal person-ish.
She's
And
just
she's
like
so nice
all
to
she cares
Kendall.
about is like she clearly like loves Kendall.
Yeah.
And she like I think it's good that she's out of the like toxic family. But like she just also seems to only really care about like what's good for her like kids and her
Yeah.
family. She's like,
What I love about
I'll
her
bring
is
them to
like,
these things and I'll do this and that to
Yeah.
like for the family, not so
Yeah.
much like for me. And
yeah.
that's
It's funny
love.
you say that because you haven't even seen like she does like that a lot more too. Like it gets
Yeah.
a little more revved up later on.
I mean
Just
her
not, you know.
yeah. And she's got a sort of weird relationship with Kendall where it doesn't really feel over, but like otherwise
Yeah, I think the thing with her is like, which I like, is she has very clear boundaries of like, I love you, Kendall, but the drug thing, I can't because we have children.
Yeah.
Like obviously you can't have that.
Yeah.
And then the Waystar thing, it just crushes her and her family. So if he gave those up, I think he could easily
the Waystar thing, like just like being a
like
part of it.
his pursuit of.
Well, I think
CEO.
if he had done that earlier on, but I think once
yeah.
we're at the show, I think at that point it's too. I think
After the
she's
funeral,
close off.
it's
She's
like-
like, or even before that, I think she's like,
Okay.
I'm done.
After the attempted poisoning scene, maybe or something.
The attempted poisoning.
What do you do?
So, and Kendall invites Logan over for dinner after when they're
right.
like feuding hardcore and serves him like a meal. And Logan calls Kendall's son over to taste the meal before he eats it.
Because he thinks Kendall might be poisoning him or something.
Did
Yeah.
Kendall?
No,
No, but,
obviously
like,
not.
Because
He's
Kendall
a-
watched him do it, but like
Kendall was like,
he was
you
showing,
really
I
think
don't
that,
care
bro?
about your kid's life. I'm gonna test my food on your useless, worthless child. Because
Yeah.
it's
I
not.
think he hates his child. I just watched the episode where he just like they're like, oh, like our son needs time to like adjust or whatever, and he just like screams at him until he like comes and hangs out with the family, and he's like,
Logan does.
Logan just like screams at like
Oh.
Kendall's kid
That was
Or,
another.
for like he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, come do this or that, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like he looks like he's 9 years old. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
And then like yeah, his ex-wife, Kendall's ex-wife, like leaves with him in like a huff, and I think that's like one of the few times where Kendall actually stood up to his dad and was like, "What the fuck, Dad?" Like, and
Logan
actually
does
like leave.
The only other time he's done that is when Logan slaps Roman, and then he's like, "No, you don't do that."
I was so
Bad
like
dog.
that scene was so amazing when there's a scene they're just adults hanging out in front of like other people that they work with, like it's a room
Yeah.
full of people talking about this like business decision or whatever probably they're talking about, and he smacks Roman, and the way everyone reacts to it, like you see Shiv and Kendall, the way they react, you know, that's exactly how they reacted when they were like 6 years old and this happened. Like Kendall like jumped up immediately to like defend his younger brother, and Shiv just like the panic that just instilled in like everyone right away was
Why did
really
he slap him
telling.
again? I forget.
He just didn't like something he said. I think they also show that like Logan, because his mental state's deteriorating a bit, like he is going back to those ways more. Like I think that's why he hits Kendall's kid, and he just kind of like forgets where he is. He doesn't know what
Yeah,
he's
he
doing,
definitely has moments
and
where
like
he's like,
reverts
no.
back to like clearly he was like that when they were children, and he's probably less so now. But
Yeah, now that they're older, but I guess as he slowly starts to lose his marbles a little bit, like he does
He
start to
slips out
revert back.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
because I think he also calls people by like the wrong names and stuff, and like
Yeah, he's for most of the show he's pretty lucid, but yeah, they do a good job of sneaking in little moments where you're like, should he be running a company?
it's a good job too of kind of like like they're showing like he wouldn't bring up like things from the past that happened now, but like when he's like in those states where he's not lucid, that he can kind of like mention things in the past that happened for like the audience.
Yeah.
It fills in a little bit of the
But I think
gaps.
that leads into another great character moment of his where like the next episode he's driving with Roman and he's like, he says, "Did I even make contact?" Because that's not something that I do, and that's his form of like an apology. But like obviously Logan Roy doesn't apologize
Yeah,
because he's never
he
wrong.
gaslights.
Yeah,
and
and Roman's just like, "No, it's good, it's okay."
yeah, that's kind of like the dog food thing. Like the,
Yeah.
just tell him it's okay. So let's talk about Roman. Next question: is Succession gay?
There's some
The
gay stuff
show?
in Succession.
There's a lot of I think it's fun.
I'm confused, and maybe this is not Right, but
So we can cut it out.
I'm okay, yeah.
Whenever we talk about this shit, let's cut it out.
Why isn't Roman gay? He seems like the not to be
No, yeah. Let's go Roman.
Not to be rude, but he seems like the perfect token gay character because he's already kind of the black sheep of the family. I feel like they would be really
but
against
it's more complicated
him being like.
I think it's more interesting how, like. I mean, like, I think he is bi, right? Or it's hinted at.
I mean,
apparently
there's insinuations that he's like I feel like I'm watching it and I feel like there's a lot of insinuations that he's fucking his trainer. So like,
yeah, that's what I've heard. I didn't catch up on it.
I assume that he's bi. I just mean like it feels very, very boring for all of them to like. They're all just like getting married to someone of the.
I mean, they could have added him as a token gay character, but I think it's way more interesting how broken his relationship is with sex and people.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just saying. To me, it was really weird when I was watching. I was like, oh, I just assumed Roman was going to be gay.
I guess it is like something Succession does, which I really like. It's like this like next level of like. It's such like it's very realistic in its portrayal of this world. All that matters to them is that you can show up in a suit and you can do your job. And for most of those people that are Harvard graduates, Princeton graduates,
you know what? Maybe Roman is even gay, but like I don't think Logan would ever have been accepting of that, and he could have repressed that part of himself. I mean, he never really does sleep with a woman.
I think it's like one of those where like he never even got that.
His wife.
No, I don't think he ever fucks. Are we talking about Roman still?
Roman, yeah.
He never fucks.
Like he can't have sex unless it's really disturbing.
It needs to be
wrong. Yeah. Like he asks his girlfriend to pretend to be a corpse.
Yeah.
So that they can have sex.
It's the only time they actually try to have sex.
In Scream.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, you did bite so hard.
Basically. Or like he'll like.
That's why he likes his relationship with Jerry. Yeah. It's so taboo.
Degradation and like.
Jerry?
Jerry, have you met the Jerry character? She's like one of the execs in her circle.
Blonde glasses.
Older woman in her 60s or something. 50s, 60s.
Yeah, 50s, maybe 60s,
like,
yeah.
Basically, her relationship with Roman is like a business alliance, but also sometimes she degrades him and he jerks off.
They are very flirty, I think. Yeah. And then
Roman sends her dick pics. And one time he actually sends a dick pic to his dad. That was a fun episode.
Yeah. In like the board meeting.
Yeah.
And like Jerry has asked him to stop sending him dick pics at a certain point. He continues
She's dating someone.
Oh, is that why?
Well, she's dating someone else, but also it's too messy. Like she doesn't want.
Yeah, she doesn't want the drama because she knows how Logan is and how that family is. But when Jerry and Roman first started being like, when they started like revving up a bit that they may be gonna have a thing, I was super into it. I would have been really okay with them to like straight up date. And I was like, what's wrong with him having like an older girlfriend? Really, I get like the workplace thing.
I think he liked it because he thought other people wouldn't approve of it. So if people were accepting of it, I think it would have lost its charm to him a little bit as well.
But I think it would maybe that's why I felt like it would have worked. Like this was still in like early seasons when I was a little optimistic that maybe things would turn out well. But
now that it's around, I don't think Roman has the balls to like be like, I'm gonna like date this like older. Like I feel like he does to some extent, but he will bend over his life to like make sure that like it's a life that his dad approves of. So then like he's not gonna like come out and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna date this like 60-year-old woman. Like,
I don't know sometimes because I think he does like to flaunt it because he loves when like he loves being like looked down on. I guess like he likes when people think less of him because he brings Tabitha, who's the escort that blows Tom and like Baby Birds his load back. He dates her for a bit and brings her around to like family functions, like knowing that everyone knows to like flaunt it, and even though he's not having sex with her.
Yeah.
And then he also does like there's also questions of like when he accidentally sends a dick pic to his dad. Like maybe it wasn't quite so accident. Maybe he was doing this so riskily, like hoping he would get caught by someone eventually.
Maybe. I think that was just a.
You think it was just a fuck up?
And when I saw that go
like in his board meeting,
I had to fucking pause the episode and like close my laptop, and I was like, I can't keep watching right now.
I thought that scene was fun because something similar happens again later on. Which I also thought was cute in season 4 was Logan and Tom's relationship. How they started like you could tell that Logan was really starting to like Tom and like would laugh at some of his jokes and stuff.
Just getting in a little bit.
Yeah, and then so remember when they're at this like function at like Logan's house, and Greg goes to have sex in one of their many bedrooms with some girl. And Tom tells Greg, "Why would you do that? You know, there's cameras like everywhere in Logan's house." And he's definitely fucking with him. I guess it's never revealed. I assume whenever Tom's saying shit to Greg, like he's like fucking with him.
Yeah, that was
because
funny.
he gets Greg to like, you have to come clean now. So he goes up to Logan and tells him, "I'm so sorry. Like I had sex in your room."
Yeah.
And then Logan like is cold to Greg, but when Greg turns around, you can see he's like cracking up a bit. Like he thinks that's hilarious.
I think that got us some brownie points with Logan for sure.
Yeah, especially So you
anytime any of the characters say something to Greg, I immediately am like, oh, they're fucking with him, and then sometimes they're just actually giving him information, and I'm like, wait, what? That was real?
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to tell when a character interacts with Greg if I'm being fed actual information or if they're just fucking with him to make him uncomfortable.
I think Greg does get, like, that's kind of his thing, is he collects all the information. Like, he's always the one that gets the dirt, because
everyone's like doesn't pay
People
attention.
underestimate
He's
him.
stupid. Like
they don't think he's gonna be making.
They're not worried about him.
Especially Shiv, who she does it with a lot of people too. And this is actually something I wrote down, was like, I guess with like a lot of the kids too, but especially Shiv, because there's this scene with like her and Greg, and she's telling Greg to keep her alliance with Mattson a secret, and Greg says, "Oh, how much is this worth for you?" And she says, "Do it and I won't kick your ass." And he's like, "Okay." But the stakes are way too high now for her to just give him nothing. So that's kind of the way she is.
Her in the end.
Yeah, it totally does. It fucks her entire plan, because Greg turns on her because she can't just control him. And that's kind of what she does with Tom too, is like she can never give anything. She can only like take things.
Yeah, she's the taker. She sucks.
And at the very end, Greg nearly blows up the deal with his sleuthing. So Mattson is talking to one of his guys in like Swedish or whatever it is, and Greg sneakily pulls out the Google Translate and starts translating, and he finds out that the CEO isn't going to be Shiv, and leaks that information to Kendall, which is how they nearly blow up the deal.
He actually does, like, he orchestrates a lot of that. He's the propeller for a lot of shit that goes down in the finale.
He definitely is.
It's super. I think like they're just all used so well as in the finale. Like everyone's
it's a symphony.
Yeah, everyone's
doing
people. Their thing at the best way they could. Like Kendall's being the most Kendall, everyone's being the most romantic. Yeah. But yeah,
I want to see Kendall be the most Kendall.
Kendall has so many different Kendalls.
I love Kendall.
You know,
like,
it's like
memes,
it's like, which Kendall are you today?
Yeah.
It's like shaved head crying on the rug because you killed the person, or like you're coked up at a party or something.
Or like,
so Kendall never kicks his drug habit. He just keeps going back.
Yeah, he ends up. I think he's still on drugs at the end of the season.
Yeah,
he definitely
season
is.
1. He's like,
he like kicks it for a little bit,
on and
off
the wagon. But I think it's really associated. Like if he's in a place where he's working towards CEO, like if he's actively working for the company and making moves, he's usually on drugs. But if he's just killed a person and taking some time to calm down, he's like he's doing self-care and doing therapy and stuff. So I think it's really related with like how toxic the workplace culture is to him.
Now that he doesn't have the company, do you think he'll turn his life around?
I at the end of the show, it's very clear that he's like suicidal and contemplating killing
It's
himself.
like oh my god, the scene where they're swimming and when they're at their mom's house in the season finale and they're deciding they're going to anoint Kendall CEO and he swims out to the docks, my heart was like,
he's dead.
He's not making it back. Yeah, this is where they find his body dead because he doesn't think they were going to give it to him.
Yeah, Kendall is like, he says to Shiv as she's about to like blow it up, he's like, I don't know what I'll do. I think I'll die if I can't do this.
Like this company is all I am. This is my entire identity.
Yeah.
Depressive.
It's actually interesting because all the siblings end in very different states. Like, I think Roman almost achieves a level of Zen or like enlightenment.
Yeah.
Where he's like, this is all bullshit and none of it matters is what he takes away from it.
Yeah.
And he just ends the show sipping a drink in a bar and watching the deal go through.
It's a Jerry's order too.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I missed that. I did notice that.
Yeah.
And Shiv makes amends with Tom a little bit. Like they're very on the rocks, but like she decides to stay with him.
Yeah, tonally it seemed like it wasn't.
They're not gonna last.
Like, I don't think
those two are getting divorced.
I
have a question.
I think Shiv had the most tragic ending.
I think Kendall did.
I guess Kendall did. It was just so. I guess, but like, it would have been so bad for him to take it home. Like,
I think in the long run,
like
if
this
he can
is,
see past it, he'll see it's really a blessing.
Yeah, but I don't know if he
and
will.
then
He was already
Connor's
just
But he's left a shell of a person.
Connor and Willa. Connor after
does he marry the prostitute he's
yeah,
dating?
he does.
Yeah.
And they
That was another thing I thought they were fucking with Greg when they said she was a prostitute.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're fucking with him to make Greg uncomfortable. And I was like, no, she's just a prostitute.
No, she
Yeah. Connor's she
That's their wedding is where Logan dies. Well, not
yeah,
where,
that's
but
what
when.
I was asking. You said the wedding, and I was like,
sorry,
does he
yeah,
marry
Connor's
the...
wedding's Willa, yeah. And then so after his political campaign is a failure, it's 1%, he negotiates to become the ambassador of
Oman or Yemen.
Oman,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Or no, Slovakia.
It was
No, it's
something
Oman.
stupid.
It's Oman.
Yeah, it was something stupid word.
That was
like
one
that.
of it's some smaller country, obviously.
Yeah. And then he's gonna drag Willa out there, but she doesn't want to go. She wants to stay in their $5
So
billion
they
mansion in
agree
the
that she'll
city.
stay in America and he'll go
Well,
where.
because she doesn't, as far as I can tell, she doesn't really like him that
No,
much.
she likes
just
the
his
lifestyle.
money.
She'd be okay if he's
No,
gone
no,
most of
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Which
It's
he
very
like,
much a
That's
an
their
arrangement.
relationship. I was watching, I was like, oh, he's just really into her,
yeah.
He just loves her, and he's like,
and
he's
she's
accepted
really
it.
into his money.
Yeah. And like they're pretty honest about it. Like
Yeah, there's a lot of good moments where they have it as like a discussion. She's like, no, I am into you for the money, but I like you as well. And there's also like, I guess, a sad moment where Connor's like, I'm okay with not being loved. Like, I know that no one...
I have enough love to give. That
Yeah.
That's so sad. But also, what a little bitch.
Poor guy.
I didn't like Connor.
I like him because he's at least honest. Everyone else in the show, like, they say shit all the time, but it means nothing. Like,
yeah.
Kendall in season 1 has that good line. He says, "What are words? Complicated airflow." And I think that's very much the theme of the show.
That's how you
That's
live
what
your
he
life,
lives
right,
by.
Max?
Yeah. Huh?
That's how you live your life.
Complicated airflow,
Just
man.
complicated airflow, man.
But that's...
Do your Kendall impression for the viewers. It was so beautiful before.
Oh, fucking, let's do some coke and we'll fucking figure out details later.
I love it. I think he's
was really
beautiful. I think
good.
he's doing a good job.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, maybe I should be Kendall.
He's so
in real
funny.
life.
Yeah. He'll turn into Kendall.
Yeah.
Start wearing, would you wear baseball caps?
Where's baseball
Because,
caps?
like,
Glass.
Start wearing your
Baseball caps
baseball
on.
cap backwards. I got one over there. You want it?
Everyone in that show has a distinct cadence and way they speak as well. They're also imitatable.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Kieran McCulkin has a very distinct
Yeah.
way of speaking.
Yeah.
Or me fucking get off
Yeah.
yeah.
Kieran McCulkin's the one who says
Oh,
it.
he's so funny.
Yeah.
And like,
I
yeah,
love
they're
the
all like,
imitations.
they're all like very like, they did a good job at making them very like iconic and like distinct. Like they're very
Yeah.
like caricatured almost. Like they're just very much themselves. But yeah.
Or, like, Tom has this very, like, he's open and long way of speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also really like the way Tom speaks. I just think that I really like
He has a
Tom.
nice
Oh my
voice.
God. He's
nice to
honestly,
listen to.
I think, really good at like doing the when he's like. Remember when Logan was like his girlfriend Carrie wanted to be a news anchor and he's like, let me know how the audition goes and if she's like good or not, like if she's gonna get the job or not. So he's like caught between if he's gonna let her get the job because it's his boss's girlfriend or if she sucks, she does suck. If he's gonna break her down. And the way he like breaks the news to Logan, like, well, like, what do you think? I just don't know if it's like the time right now. Like she's great. I just think like the way he talks people down or like delivers bad news is so like kind of like I want him to tell
He's
me I have like
I think-
cancer. Like
I think
This
he has
might
some
not
of
be
the like
great.
better lines in the show. Like when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, you have like some of the like my favorite lines that I feel like I'm watching.
But like
Yeah.
everyone has some good lines at certain points. I feel.
I know.
Like.
I feel like I significantly. Maybe it's just because I like the character.
he does get
when
like
he like says things. I find I'm like paying attention most to like when he's around.
I think Tom's really fun because he kind of does this thing where he's like, he knows that he's like, this is how rich people act, and I'm gonna act like a rich. And so it's for like you can kind of see it for him. He knows that he's kind of doing a bit. Like the way he explains it to Greg, he's like, no, it's like this. I'm like, no, we eat caviar and we eat like this like illegal pheasant under like a thing, and like
Yeah.
like he's super into
Solid
that,
points.
but he's like
Oh, that
more
was really-
aware.
That was really cute when I just watched the episode where Tom was kind of sucking up to Greg because Greg just like shredded all those files for him, and they're just like sitting at like dinner and they like go out together and they're just like having like a boys night, but it's
Yeah,
just like
they eat the
kind of,
songbird
yeah.
and drink like Goldschlager.
it's just like kind of adorable. That was like a scene where I was like, I just feels like he's really just taking Greg for a spin, showing him the life he can have.
Exactly.
And that was like a really nice, like obviously it was like he's like just sucking up because Greg did this thing he doesn't want.
Well, no, I don't think that's true.
Well, I think there's an aspect of it. I think he likes Greg, but I just think like I was like obviously there was this underlying like thing to it, but I thought it was like a really fun, cute little thing. I was like, oh, I like this dynamic that's popping.
He calls like Greg like he was like, I wish you were my wife and stuff. He's his like Nero.
Yeah.
So he tells this story about this ancient Roman Empire who had the slave he loved, and when his wife died, I think he like had the slave
he
castrated.
pushed his wife down the stairs because he didn't like her and castrated his servant.
And then they got married essentially.
Yeah, so
and he
a lot
tells
of
Greg, he says, I wish you were my slave. I think that's exactly what he says.
It's really interesting because I think like they show that a lot, and it seems to be kind of like the corporate world vibe of like it's like these homosocial, but like they double down almost on like sexualizing the friendship, but it's still like distance from like
there's like
you know they're not actually. Yeah, but it's like like he's saying that because I don't know. It's like weird.
But like in the very first episode when Greg meets Tom to fuck with him, he's like, Tom literally says, "Would you kiss me?"
Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah, he does.
I'm fucking with you.
Yeah.
So it's like
he's like, "Would you do
there's
it?"
this thin layer where I don't think they dwell on it for too long, but like, is there like a romantic element there for Tom?
Well, okay, that's what I was thinking because I think they do use that jargon a lot in the show. So to me, it's a little more distance, and I don't think like Tom telling that story is him like confessing his feelings for Greg. I think it's him like painting a picture or like making an allegory because like Shiv does that too with Greg later on. It's like, do you want to fuck me? Do you want to? But she means in like a business sense. But like it's all, and that's the way they talk about a lot of their shit. Yeah, we can cut this. But I was gonna say like, remember like you get drunk and like kiss your friends. I assume it's like kind of like a similar thing. It's kind of like a
just kissing them homies, bro.
It's like not like I want to like fuck them. It's like
yeah, I don't want to fuck.
It's not like romantic.
I want to kill my wife and castrate my boys.
Yeah. It's like and then like, they don't really show. There isn't like the toxic masculinity. You see that in like Logan as like that generational spirit, but you don't see that in like Greg and Tommy. You don't see that with like Roman or Kendall. Like they don't
like
really.
You see it, but it's not like necessarily as ingrained in them. Like I feel like there are some interactions where I'm like, it's kind of it seems like it's the toxic masculinity of this like work environment and this like place that they're in, but it almost feels like they're putting on a show about it. Like it's not that they actually are like, well, I mean they probably are a little bit toxically like whatever, but like it's not that they're actually have these like beliefs so much. It's like they know that they kind of have to put on that show for the place that they are.
And probably also
mean?
like feeling a probably lack of that they have
like,
in their personal
like it feels
lives.
like it feels like a front more their toxic masculinity. It's not like
like when your life is work, you're not getting intimacy really at home from your.
I mean, none of them are fucking.
But that's the thing is like
it makes sense to me that Tom.
I feel like Tom and Greg have moments of real intimacy sometimes. Even.
Yeah.
Well, I think Tom really cares about Greg.
They're like very like we're in this together and like.
Or like I feel like Tom's
partners.
like you're in this with me, Greg. And Greg's like.
I almost feel like though Greg is kind of like Shiv in a sense where I feel like he's not like as into Tom as Tom's into him. He's like
that's the thing is I think it's also a very one-sided relationship where Greg is getting something out of it. Well, I think he does care about Tom a little bit.
It's like I don't think he doesn't care. I just think like
I agree with
Tom
you.
is really I think Tom becomes way more invested in that relationship than Greg is. And then it's like it's kind of sad because you're seeing Tom almost having the same pattern again of like picking to be with someone who's just like can't give you the amount of like love that like you're able to give to them.
Yeah, I mean Tom comes on a little strong with Greg too sometimes.
No, he does.
But
I think it's just like a sad like.
I love the scene where he finds out he's not going into prison, so he goes to Tom's office and destroys it.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm not going to prison, baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like him and Greg. It's kind of like also like the inverse of his relationship with Shiv, because in this relationship with Greg, like Tom's the one with all the power. Tom's the one that's like taking the lead. If they're working for his future or not.
Yeah, but even as the one with all the power, like he's still not getting like the.
He has the power, but
emotional
emotionally, he's the one. Who's
like he's still kind of the bitch.
And I think Greg is also kind of his punching bag.
I was gonna say Greg, I think, is also like very aware that Tom is really unstable and has like a fucked up marriage and like lashes. Like I think he's aware that this man is not okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Or like no, like Greg. Maybe I'm a little too hard on Greg. Like Greg definitely cares about Tom. Like when he finds out Shiv is cheating on Tom, he tries to tell him. That was another really good scene.
Yeah,
I think
part of
I
it.
actually have seen that scene where
they're like
he's
running
trying
and
to
he's
tell
like, "Shut the
Tom,
fuck up,"
and Tom's like, "Stop talking."
Shut the
like,
fuck
shut
up,
up,
Greg.
yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Greg.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. Good job.
that was good. Yeah, I think as well, like there's a learning curve too for like Greg. Like he's still trying to figure out. He doesn't know if he should necessarily be all in with Tom or if he should be.
Well, yeah, Greg is constantly playing the odds.
Yeah, I think Greg's playing it a little bit more, but like I also believe that he cares about Tom. I think they have a genuine-ish relationship.
And he just tried to put some space between him and Tom, I think, because he knows he's a little unstable. Like, he wants to work in a different division, and like, I think the compromise was that like Tom just gave him a promotion, a bunch more money.
Maybe
Probably,
yeah.
Tom needs Greg.
I like that we found out how much he
survive
makes.
without him.
Yeah.
How much does he make?
$200,000 a year as an assistant.
World's most expensive assistant. He
As an
said.
assistant.
Yeah.
But what happens is when he shreds those documents, he keeps a few.
Yeah,
He's
good.
When
He's
he
smart.
goes to Tom, first he tries to tell him he just wants to go work somewhere else, and then Tom's like no and throws a bunch of water bottles at him, and then he like blackmails him in the most Greg way possible. He's like,
would it be okay if I blackmailed you?
and yeah, Tom was like, are you asking to blackmail me, Greg? And he's actually really proud of him, and he's like, you know what? Well done, Greg. I'm gonna get you a promotion. I'm gonna get you some more money.
He gets a moment like that with he gets a moment like that with Kendall too, where he's like, well, Kendall, I think I have a lot of sensitive information, and anyone would be wise to keep me in a good spot. And he goes, Greg the egg, come on out. Like they're all tied on the back.
They're also proud of him for being able. No, I think I have seen scenes like that. Where it's like Greg like trying to do a blackmail, but like it's just kind of like really
super
fucking
awkward,
weird and awkward. No, yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
So
no, I've
exciting.
seen him save like the documents they asked him to shred. I know he saved some of those.
There's this podcast I watched that
Larissa.
Sorry, there's this YouTube video I watched.
Thank you.
That they were talking about an idea for a Succession prequel, but I honestly they just said it in the 80s, and it would be like Logan Roy, like young Logan Roy and young Jerry and young, and it would be them like building.
I think
it'd be
like
too soon. Anytime
but I feel
soon.
like there are shows like that
I
that
think-
are just like.
I think if they did that would take so much of the magic of the show, where like you get little breadcrumbs of what happened in the past, but they leave it mostly up to you.
Well, also it's kind of nice when they like leave it up to the viewer a little bit, because like it'll never be like if they do like a prequel or something like that, it's never gonna be as like good as what you thought in your head, or like as bad or as like crazy.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own idea of what it was like back then.
It's just someone will be no matter what, like a lot of people will be disappointed by it.
Yeah, you're right.
I also think if you have a show like this that was such a like huge success and like everyone like just thinks it's amazing, you kind of almost don't want to like build off of that, like make another thing similar to it, because you just are risking like ruining the legacy of it.
But like that will make you a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's not gonna stop. It's gonna happen eventually.
I mean, no, yeah. I just think from like
regardless.
From like an art perspective, you don't want to do that because
it is like very much like a piece of art, I think, and I'm glad that they ended it.
I'm glad they ended season 4.
And they didn't overdo it. I think they could have probably gone longer if they wanted to.
They could have dragged it out.
I think 4 seasons of a show is always a good sweet spot, though.
There was so much left, though.
It's like it's enough of the story that you feel like you've watched and grown with the characters you're watching, and like they're still sort of doing the quality writing, but like it's not like so much that they start to like recycle storylines. So like when a show is like about 4 or 5 seasons long, I'm always like, oh, it's like this one was like probably ended before it got too bad.
Yeah. They decided when it was gonna end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does feel that way when a show ends after 3 or 4 seasons. I'm like, oh, you wanted it to end.
You're like, we're good. This is all we have to say.
This is good.
Okay, I have some hot takes. Should we get into that?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'd love to hear some hot takes.
Okay, I'll do it. Should I do a softball one first?
Softball.
Oh, sorry. No spoilers.
It's just to lose the drama from it. Okay, I'll start with my softball one. In the season finale, there's a point where I think they're going to like their dad's old house now, Connor's house, because he bought from them after his death. To like auction.
They're doing the sticker auction.
Yeah, whatever. Like they're picking up what
It's
they
like
want from it.
it's essentially they're gonna take certain things from the house.
Sorry, it's so irrelevant to the point I'm saying.
Yeah.
But anyways, they hang out at the house, and they've played like the homemade video of Logan. They're showing like a videotape that was recorded a little bit earlier of him just being like chill at a dinner party. I didn't like that.
Why not?
I thought that the funeral episode was such a good cap on like the image of Logan. The character. I didn't need that like extra. Oh, but he's a sweet guy sometimes.
I think it's also an element of like he'll always be part of their lives even if he's dead now.
I just think I kind of got that without needing. I don't know. I thought it could have been left out for me. I thought it was like a weird. It
I
felt
honestly
a little
don't even
off.
remember that.
It's they walk into the dining room and they just sit down for a minute and watch like their dad playing this like game at the dinner table with like his friends, and it's like I don't. It's just supposed to be like a cute moment, and I just felt like it didn't.
Don't try to make me like him.
Yeah, right? It's like, I get it. I get who he is.
They're trying to gaslight you into liking Logan the way Logan
That's
gaslights
what
all
I
of
was
his
like, it was weird that they wanted to end on a note of like a good.
Because no one's
image
black
of
and
him.
white like that. Like even Logan probably had good moments.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think they
just
showed
shows
that
you
a
as
lot.
person.
I just thought the funeral did it better. Of the kid show, oh, like we love you, Dad. You were complicated. Like, I think they kind of show the complexity of that,
Sure.
and it's kind of understood. Obviously, they like their like
they love their dad.
Yeah.
I mean, everything they do is
Yeah.
a desperate
The
attempt at approval.
the speech Logan's brother did at the funeral.
That
was
so,
great.
The funeral was so good.
He like basically like very respectfully shat on Logan for a little while.
Yeah, very respectfully.
But he's like, I love my brother, and like talked about
Is
how
he?
they
That's
ran
the
from
one who's
war.
Greg's grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I remember
Let's give Greg's.
he was in
inheritance to
he was in the
movies.
episode and he was pissed off when like Kendall tried to like convince him to like vote out
Yeah.
his dad, and he was like, "Fuck you! Like you're rats! Like
Yeah,
this
he
isn't how
hates
you
them.
do stuff."
Like honestly, probably one of the few somewhat likable characters in that show.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the. I guess he's the angel and like Logan's
I mean,
like the
because he's
devil.
like a
I
gruff
think-
old man, but his heart's
Isn't
in
it
the
like
right
he
place.
like left like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff because he's like was
He doesn't
sickened
believe
by
in
it?
it.
Like,
Yeah.
it was
sticks to his
disgusting him.
morals. Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
actually he didn't bend any of his morals. He's
Yeah.
like, this is what I believe, and this doesn't go with that.
And he says
So-
as much in the funeral speech. He's like, he's caused a lot of damage to
Yeah.
our society and the world, and
Yeah.
Okay, what are your other
Um,
hot takes?
Oh, I don't know if I like missed a certain element. I'm misremembering the car crash, but I am when at the end of season 3 when Roman tells Kendall, sounds like you barely killed someone. I was like, yeah.
well, yeah, because honestly, in the car crash, the guy
He's
who's with him,
driving.
he grabs the steering wheel and veers him
Oh,
off
is
the
it
bridge.
him that pulls the steering wheel?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah.
Kendall driving, but he
grabs the steering wheel.
there's a deer that runs out.
Yeah, so to avoid the deer, the guy grabs it.
Is that really like a drunk driving accident? Like they didn't crash because he was
Was he
drinking
Well,
and
he
driving.
was high and drunk.
Well, high and drunk.
But
and,
but
like that
if-
would
but
count
like it
as-
seems like the crash is like it would count.
like
but
his
like
reaction time is maybe he could have braked if he was sober, or like
it was definitely
maybe not driven off the bridge.
It's not. It's
yeah,
not.
I guess maybe.
I mean, like, it doesn't even matter that, like, if he, like, it doesn't matter if being sober would have, like, changed the outcome.
I don't
The
think-
point is that he was under the influence while driving, so it would count as, like, a drunk driving accident. Like,
I didn't
that's-
think he was driving.
Kendall was driving.
I thought the waiter was driving.
No, Kendall was driving 100%.
Okay, my bad.
100%.
Even then, I think it's kind of like I don't know. This is a kid that like I don't know. He also like got high together and got in a car to go get more drugs, and then
I don't
drove off a
think-
bridge.
I don't
and,
think it like makes him. I think other things make Kendall a bad person, but that was like I don't think you should take that to. I don't know. He made some really bad decisions that led to.
Oh
that
yeah,
situation.
yeah.
But like he
But
tried
it's
to
not like
dive
he,
back
like-
down a couple of times. Like
Yeah, and it's not like I thought it'd be like the kid was sober and he like got him to come in his car or whatever or he hit someone. It's like it's not the same situation as
Is the
something
kid
like that.
the waiter?
yeah,
It's
Okay.
the waiter at it's one of the caterers at Shiv's wedding, and he goes out to smoke weed with the kid, and he goes, "Oh, we should go get some like crack,
Coke or crack
Coke,
or whatever.
yeah." And then so they drive off
Okay.
together, and they
Yeah.
drive off a
But
bridge,
they're
and then the kid
both
dies.
drunk. Kendall's drunk. Kid's high. Kendall's. I think he smokes a bit too.
The
How
kid does
old is this
crack, I
kid?
think.
The
You
kid.
keep calling him the kid. I was imagining.
Oh,
like
like
in his
20,
early
18,
20s probably.
yeah, like
Or yeah, maybe 18.
but I just I don't know. I didn't think. Obviously, it was a terrible thing that happened, but it was kind of like you didn't kill someone.
Right.
I don't
You
know.
barely
Like,
It obviously wasn't a joke.
it was kind of like
accident.
an accident, series of bad decisions, but not that they like milk it too hard. It's kind of just that one thing.
And he feels a lot of guilt for it. So I don't think he's.
I also just think it like has more to do with like his drug addiction than it necessarily does with like I would kill someone if I like to get what I want.
I don't
like,
think Kendall's a monster for it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Which I guess maybe that's also kind of the point.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting because he eventually breaks down and tells his kids, and like you're saying, like Roman was trying to downplay. Like, you didn't even. I've killed more people for way.
well, Roman blew up a rocket. Do you remember that?
The guy that lost his thumbs.
Guess who has two thumbs, or guess who only lost like 2 thumbs and a leg? This guy.
He like rushes this rocket launch from one of their subsidiary companies.
Yeah. He like approves a bunch of shit
because
before
he
they're
wants
like,
it to happen on the day of Shiv's
wedding as like a wedding gift to Shiv.
And then obviously the rocket launch explodes, and like he thinks he's gonna get like sued for manslaughter because he thinks people died there.
Yeah.
And then he gets the good news that some guy lost his thumbs and a leg, and that's it.
He goes like this. He looks up, watches the launch, and then goes.
That was so good.
It was such a perfect moment. That's like Roman. Like I think he's great, but like the second he's like in charge of anything, it's extreme. Like,
well, I don't think he could ever be in. Like, I feel like he's kind of one of those people who like he'd probably be good in like a higher up position as long as there's someone else who's reining him in.
I think he also definitely has like a twinge of probably like some kind of disorder. You kind of see that in like season 4. Like he gets really like manic.
I mean, he's clearly very fucked up.
He goes from like being like very sweet and like
he's got like a million problems.
Yeah. No, yeah, he has a million problems, but I think he's just very like it's not really like a spectrum. He's either like a fucking like crazy monster that's like breeds chaos, or he's like a sweet little like crybaby angel, and then like he kind of just goes through those.
But I thought that was a really sweet moment where like Kendall opened up and his siblings really rallied around him and tried to build him up, and I really liked in the finale when they're fighting over like the vote and he's trying to get Shiv to vote for the deal to get blocked, and she says, "You can't be CEO, you killed a person," and he just reels it back. He says, "I made it up," and tries to backtrack.
He says, "I made it up."
Yeah,
it's like crazy conversation. I don't think I've ever seen on TV like that where it looks so like, oh, that's like literally how children fight. Like the panic of like, oh, I made it up, and like as if you just say that like you just say shit until you get what you want.
And obviously it completely backfired because like that's such a fucked up thing to make up and say you did if you didn't. But like I'm not sure if they were convinced.
It's like clearly you're lying now to like backtrack or like whatever.
Or even even if the opposite is true, you lied to us then for what?
Yeah.
So.
So it's kind of it's kind of crazy. I liked though in the fight. So when Tom gives Shiv the scorpion, it's like because the story of the scorpion and the duck or
frog.
And then she goes, oh, it's a scorpion in a glass box. And then later on, because it double crosses you and it stings. Why? Because it's in its nature. And then when they go to the deal, why does Shiv block the deal? They go in the glass box and she betrays Kendall because it's like in her nature.
That's funny.
like it was never going to go through. Like they're just so broken that they could never succeed.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there's some foreshadowing there for sure.
Yeah.
Shiv definitely didn't like that gift.
The gift where her husband gives her something and says, "'Cause you're a scorpion, you'll double cross me and destroy me."
Yeah,
that was an honorable thought.
But she fucking does. She fucking does
That's
all
true.
the time.
That's
and I mean, she does.
accurate.
It's an accurate gift, but if someone gave me that gift, I would also not like it.
What the fuck?
I'd be like, if this is what you think of me, why are we together?
Yeah, she's not happy about that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's her one fair reaction she's ever had in this entire show.
I think that's it for all the thoughts I have on Succession. Well, probably not, but
I mean, my only hot take is that like I feel like this show is overhyped. It's not as good as like everyone. Like it's a show about a bunch of shitty trust fund babies who are trying to run a company who clearly have a lot of problems and are bad at it and like just like are constantly fighting with each other and no one's really a good person.
I do think it's a show that's not for everyone.
I don't think it's for everyone, but I think it's like our generation's Shakespeare. It's like cinematic masterpiece.
Yes, I think that's like crazy. Like that's really. I think this is a show that is exactly the type of show that you would love. Like this is exactly the type of show where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Larissa show. but I don't think
That's
it's
fair.
like as amazing. I feel like I don't think it's as amazing as everyone says it is. It's like, it's fine, and if I was really into like this type of TV show, I'd think it was great. I'd be so happy there's like a good show. But it's like any genre, it's like, I don't know, it's not
Yeah, I see.
the top
But
of the
I also
it's
think
not the
it's
best
just,
thing
like,
in the world.
And it's a really well crafted experience. Like everything layers together so perfectly. Like the soundtrack, the way they show everything with the like cinematography, the characters, the writing.
I think also like it's not even like, oh, like this is a good it's the best show ever. It's like it didn't need to be a show. Like I would have enjoyed this just as much if it was like a stage play, or if it was like
Yeah, it could be.
like I think the story was just so like the way they were able to balance like everyone's motivations and intentions, and the way you were able to like follow without anyone ever saying like anything about actually what was going on or what their true intentions were or what the plot
complicated
was.
airflow.
Yeah, it was all literally just complicated airflow, and you just have to go based off kind of vibes.
Because no one says what they mean, but like you still understand.
To each their own.
So like I totally get it. I think it's like not gonna be like a pop culture like icon,
It's
but
like
I think
Rick and
it's
Morty.
gonna
You have
be.
to have a high IQ. Like Succession. You wouldn't understand, obviously.
I think it's just like
My little girl brain can't comprehend. Look at me. I'm in a ballerina dress. I'm like 10 years old. What do you want? You want me to watch this show with a bunch of meanies being mean to each other?
yeah, it's a little
Nobody-
disheartening. I was crying at times, and I was
No, like
stressed at times.
I think that if I was into this genre, I think it was like an amazing show because it is done very well.
yeah, that's
But I just
fair.
think that like it's also very like specific.
It is.
And
very
so,
different.
like, for that reason, I'm not sure I would say like, oh, it's like the best thing ever created. Like I feel like everyone who likes the show basically thinks that. And I don't think that it's that. I think it's that honestly, if anything, I think it's just like shows that it's kind of rare to have a really well crafted TV show nowadays.
yeah, there's
Which is
definitely like
more sad to me than anything.
it definitely has stood out. I
Yeah.
think.
It
But we've
just
had
comes
some good
together so
ones. Like we had like that was airing, and then there was the year before we had Euphoria, and then we have this, and then we have like The Last of Us was this year as well.
Apparently Euphoria is gonna have another season, right?
But like, I don't know. I think Succession
And
is a cut
White
above
Lotus.
all those.
But just like there, I think there's
White
more
Lotus
like.
season 2 was actually really good too.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that one.
But I just think people like there's kind of a separation now. Like there's like these prestige show that have like that more like highbrow
AAA.
like art like elements that people
Yeah.
are like crafting like interesting stories for the sake of it versus like it's just I think like
And so
it's
commercial appeal.
changing a bit, and it kind of yeah.
Do you
Um,
want to do your last one?
I think I already brought up some. Oh, I guess I said people who thought that Greg might win are stupid. People who genuinely thought
Yeah,
in the
that was
anticipations of
fucking
season. No, Greg is like the dark horse to win or whatever
I
the fuck I
think-
was seeing. I was like,
dumb. It's
no.
not gonna happen.
Like,
That one's funny because I thought it would be hilarious. I was like, what
That'd
if?
be funny.
Because when Larissa came in, I didn't even realize really. Maybe I'm just dumb. But I didn't really realize the show was about who's gonna win Succession. I thought I was just watching a show about Kendall trying to take over the company from his father, basically.
Well, I mean, it is.
I mean, which is the
That's
show.
what it is.
So I didn't really think like, oh, it's gonna end with like who's gonna win, like someone else is gonna do it. Like I just assumed that's what I'm watching. This guy's journey to take over the company. And then when you said, oh, guess who wins? I was like, oh, I guess like it's not that. And then I was like, it would be really funny if Greg.
I think it
just
does
won.
start that way, like, and then like as you watch the show, you're like, oh, it might not
So
be.
I'm not
happening.
Well, they
So
also
stupid.
do like they do a good job. Like season 1 is you're following Kendall
Yeah.
and him trying to get, and season 2 you'll follow Shiv, and she's now been told that
So
she could be CEO. So
I
it's all
shouldn't
about her.
continue watching the show because I don't want to watch a whole
I
season
think
of
you
shit.
might come around to Shiv. I think you'd like her
I
and
don't
Tom's
think I
relationship.
will.
It's fun.
It's awful.
Everyone's
Possible.
Shiv haters.
She's
That's
so
her.
she's so mean to him.
Shiv sucks, but
She's
they also-
complicated. She has a,
She's complicated. Oh, she's complicated.
She's really cool sometimes.
she
though. I think she
complicated?
gets
She's a
really,
badass.
My favorite of her was definitely season 4 when she slides in to start negotiating with Mattson behind her brother's backs. I was like, I think I want Shiv to win. Like, I think she earns this. I think she
God,
deserves
no.
this.
But then ultimately
backtrack,
she gets
but-
burned by Manson. And
Because she sucks.
I think
That's
it's.
all hips.
I think it essentially that's the idea of the show is to
Yeah.
bring it all together. Is if you're born at the finish line like they are, you're just not going to be equipped to actually
Yeah.
take
yeah.
on the rule.
None of them can actually do it.
Yeah, and they. That's
Some
why
of
Tom
them
wins. Wins. I don't even know if he really wins, but he becomes
He
CEO.
wins
Anointed.
Succession.
No one
Yeah.
really wins. Madsen kind of wins.
Yeah, Mattson definitely wins.
Yeah.
I didn't want him. I wanted.
I don't want any of them to win.
I kept thinking the blood thing was gonna come up at some point.
Yeah, I was surprised that didn't get leaked.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Matson was in a relationship with his publicist, and when they broke up, he started sending her like
pints of his blood. Frozen pints of his blood.
Yeah.
He's just,
it's
and then
crazy.
like Shiv just keeps a straight face through all this, like, oh okay, like.
It's like that was a bad idea.
It's like an MGK thing.
Where he goes, and then like I was saying to her, and then she thought it was funny at first, and then it was like not funny, it was creepy, but then like I kept saying them, so it became funny again, you know? She goes, okay, well like first of all, great joke. Hilarious. Second of all, probably you should stop doing that immediately.
You're just like every day taking pints of taking blood.
I kind of thought he was fucking with Shiv a bit to see how she reacted. Like, I'm gonna bit over exact, but I don't know. Maybe he is just a freak.
No, he definitely did do that.
I think he did that.
Yeah, because like I think Kendall and Roman find out.
I also think that everyone says, "Oh, Shiv's so dumb," but I think the reason why she loses at the end is because she's so smart. Like Matson doesn't want her to be making decisions and being capable, but she is the one that gets Matson to renegotiate the blocking of the deal with Mencken.
Who says Shiv is dumb? I feel like everyone...
You said she was dumb like 5 times!
No, I said I hate her.
Oh.
I didn't say she was dumb. I said I think she's smart. I think she's not as smart as she thinks she is, but I think she's still smart. I just don't think I just hate her as a person. Like I can't stand her.
That's fair.
And like when I watch her, I'm like infuriated.
That's what it should be.
And
she's very selfish.
I feel like she's very selfish.
She only ever does stuff
herself. She can't, that's why we were saying earlier, like, she can't be in charge. She can't do anything that, like, doesn't only really benefit her and, like, doesn't involve her, like, she can't give anything up. She could never, like, compromise on anything.
Oh my god, the way she would just, as well, would always, like, kind of, like, I thought it was interesting, and I don't know if it's, like, supposed to be, the way she would just, I know this is like Shiv mean Shiv, but like the way she would just, whenever anyone at work would bring up Tom, like, oh, where do you think Tom should go? Or like, what do you think Tom's future is? She's like, I don't care. Like, you could fire him, you could keep him. Like, don't let my marriage to Tom dissuade you from hiring me or like bringing me on board. And then, which to me is weird because like I feel like if I was talking to someone like that, I'd be like, oh, you seem a little unhinged that you wouldn't.
I've seen.
Like, I feel like you would at least start. Like, obviously, it's my husband, so I want him to be in a good position, and I think he's very smart and capable. But like, she just. He's like, shit and I hate him.
I've seen a lot of clips of the show where like Tom, like they're like fucking Tom, and Shiv is just like whatever. Like, and he's like what? Like
I get that she has to do that to like a certain extent, expendable. But like I think it also speaks to her character.
He shouldn't be expendable to her. Like if that's their if this is my husband, she's like not considering you an expendable part of this.
You know what? Roman shouldn't want to fuck dead corpses, and Kendall probably shouldn't be taking crack and
like I think I understand. No, but like I understand her family treating him that way. But I don't. But like I do. But I don't understand her being so apathetic to it. Like even in private, she's like apathetic to it. She's like, oh, whatever.
I just think like I understand her reasoning of like, oh, like I have to seem objective so that they don't think that I'm just like a little bitch to my husband. But at the same, I think you do have to balance that. Like, oh, I'm like a competent person that makes like. What, like your marriage is also a decision you've made and is a reflection on like your character, like your relationship, like
if you think so lowly of it that like he's expendable, like it's almost a bad reflection on you. Like why you married this person.
Like it's okay to say good things about him. As well, because like he's not a bad employee.
A little bit, maybe she is a little bit dumb because if she was smart, I feel like she would I think she is smart, but like she is a little bit dumb sometimes just because she can't. I feel like understand do it like making those moves, like doing things that like she can't understand that sometimes you have to take a loss. She doesn't like she can't comprehend that. So to some extent, she is a bit dumb.
She can never like play dumb. She always has to prove that she's a smart. Well, that's what loses her. Hurts like when her dad promises it to her. The way it gets lost is he's negotiating buying Pierce at the time, and they're having dinner. And Pierce is really pushing for him to announce a CEO, and they do want Shiv as CEO because she has liberal values. She's a woman, and they're a very liberal woman-led company. So they want her in the seat, and she's sitting at the table, and the dad's not saying anything because he's not ready to announce who it is yet. He's been telling her, you need more time, and he's not going to announce to them. So she's just like, oh my god, dad, just tell them it's going to be me. And then that loses it immediately. It's like, because she can't just like wait. She can't just like.
Well, none of them.
She can't just like work for it.
To be fair to Shiv, none of them could really wait. Like I bet if any of them was sitting in that room and their dad had been telling them you're going to be CEO, they would also at that table be like, oh my god, just like
yeah, like a similar thing does happen to Kendall at the start, but I don't know if Kendall would have like spoken up in the meeting because I think he does get put on the spot as well when his dad announces he's not retiring, and he speaks to him more. I think like Shiv is just like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, she's sling her dick on the table.
Yeah. It's her way or the highway, and she doesn't play the game as much. Like well, I guess she does, but like
she needs to be respected. She needs to be.
Yeah, like she can't. She's too insecure. She can't stand the idea of people not knowing that she's the top dog. Like she's the smartest person in the room. She's like, and that's like.
You have to do that sometimes.
That's her fatal flaw.
Which is like Tom can only do.
I feel like life can be so. Life sometimes is so much easier for me when I just play dumb. Like I'll just like in certain cases I'm like, I'm just gonna play dumb because like it's gonna go a lot easier if I'm doing it this way, and then I'll probably get what I want later. Anyways.
Especially if you're like strategizing something where it's like, well, sometimes would you not like? She's always into like, the strategy. What play are we gonna do?
Like, don't you want people to underestimate you?
Yeah,
because they're gonna bring the guard down a little bit more if they're like underestimating you.
Yeah.
Roman does that well. Well, then that's also, so the dad promised them
why
each
Greg
the throne.
That's so good. Why he's a genius and should win Succession.
That's why he sneaks up. Yeah.
That's why
Greg
he has
does
to
very
take the
well
crown.
for himself. Let's give
He
Greg
kind of
some
like
credit.
basically
Credit
does
too.
win Succession. Like he's on the winning side of Succession at the end of it.
Yeah.
He's gonna be
I'd
working
also
with
say
Tom.
that I don't know if Greg would want to be. Does he want to be CEO? I feel like he wants
He
to
does?
be.
So they find this like old document in season 4 after Logan dies. We found this handwritten letter in his safe, and it looks like some last wishes, like a will. And it's had like a bunch of like jabber on it. And the main point of it was it had, I want my successor to be, it was Kendall Roy. And they couldn't tell if it had been underlined or crossed out. And honestly, that was an amazing visual.
Out.
But you can't tell, right?
But you're like, it could have been underlined.
They fucking nailed that.
They did the perfect line.
Yeah, where it's like it's like kind of diagonal.
It's like the document was a few years old, but like he had read, they don't know when he would have done that writing.
Yeah.
So it could have been recent. And like,
it's
there was contention on whether it was underlined or crossed out.
Like,
not that really mattered at that point.
There's a bunch of like notes at the bottom of it, and one of the notes was just like Greg ? So like, and so they bring Greg. Do you know what this is about? And he goes, "Could we interpret maybe that he wished that I succeeded?"
Of course he does.
And then he just busts out laughing. But
Greg the egg.
Yeah, the dark horse to win.
Greg the egg.
Can't make a Tomlin without breaking a few Gregs.
Classic.
Right. Does everyone feel like they've said what they need to say?
I feel like I've sweated out.
Should I close it up?
It's gotten a bit heated. Yeah, close it up.
All right. Thanks for listening, watching us talk about Succession. Thanks for joining us today, Max.
Yeah, happy to be here.
We had so much fun chatting with you.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was fun. I learned so much about Succession today.
Now you're gonna watch the show, right?
Yeah,
We'll
how inspired are you to after knowing all the spoilers and
anyways, spoilers don't dissuade
you.
me. I look up spoilers when I watch
I'm
it
gonna
all the time.
force you to watch Out to the OG now.
Okay. Anyways, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, listen to us every week. We're so cool and interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta sell it for the viewers.
Yeah.
More than just complicated airflow.
Yeah, it's more than just complicated airflow.
That's the tagline of this episode.
Yeah, complicated airflow.
All right. Bye.